Hello everyone, welcome back to Old World. We're live with another 2026 Old World Community Tournament matchup. Very special treat today. We have the community's very own ThePurpleBullmoose playing against newcomer Asteres. Going to be an exciting time. Always a treat to watch the ThePurpleBullmoose play. The ThePurpleBullmoose has selected a judge. The unique trait for our players today is Highlander, which might actually come a little bit in handy in some of these locations. There's hills here, a couple of hills over here. I'm looking for hills near tribal camps. Not too many, so not necessarily the best trait. So, a bit of a neutral start between our players there. And we have Babylon on the other side of the map, and Babylon's running a hero. We have a Babylonian hero. Interesting. I like this. I ran a Babylonian hero in my very first tournament match last season. I think there's some synergy here. Of course, these days I'd probably prefer the Zealot instead of the hero. But, yeah, really cool to see, nonetheless. Really cool to see, nonetheless. Let me make sure that my friends in Discord are aware that we are live. And link sent. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, appreciate you being here. And please give us a like, subscribe, and head on over to the Mohawk Games channel for the playlist of all the action that's happening in the tournament this season. And of course, run around the community and follow all of the other content creators. We have tons of new volunteer casters this season that are making the action happening and making all of this possible for you to enjoy this content. We've had 9 different matches happen today. It's Sunday, the first Sunday of July in 2026. In case you're viewing us from the future, we had 9 different multiplayer tournament matches today, and we have 100% caster coverage today, thanks to our amazing volunteers. So a special shout out to Spooky Wolf and Sean and Boldus and many, many others, Aaron, who have pitched in today and made this all possible. We have an Artisan's Opener. So yeah, Hero Artisan's Opener. Big fan of this. Might not be the map that I would choose this pick on because I am familiar with this map, and I know that the city sites are fairly spread out. Normally when I do an Artisans, especially if I'm going to do the double Artisans thing, I like to know that my city sites are going to be closer together. This is fascinating. What on earth are we doing? So we didn't general our hero. We we selected a hero, but this hero is now governing. Which, fine, I guess. Maybe you want that extra... Actually, you're Babylon. You don't need that extra growth, right? But now we're actually going minor second. So, that would tell me... Is there going to be connection over here? Ooh, with enough correct scouting, we can actually make this fully connect, I think. It depends on how generous the map wants to be with this river. I think this one would definitely connect. But I don't know about this one, because then it will just loop around. But I'm fascinated about what's going on the turn, the first build of a miner. Babylon doesn't really need the science, and yeah, I'm blown away by this. But I'm excited to see what we do with it. I'm always excited to see new players tackle problems and challenges, and also just bring their playstyle, their special color to the multiplayer scene. This is Asteres' very first multiplayer match. I don't even believe they've played a practice match. I think this is legitimately their very first multiplayer match. So they're up against a decent opponent with ThePurpleBullmoose. ThePurpleBullmoose won a few games in the last tournament and had some really close calls and managed to secure a win there. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see Asteres' playstyle or decision-making and what they choose to do. We have a Champions Opener with the Greeks, which I actually find fascinating. Not necessarily bad, but not my first choice with Greeks. You have lots of good options for capitals But yeah, no, great, cool. It certainly will help with clearing, I suppose. That's always nice. It's always nice to have your starting warrior have steadfast, so that's definitely a good way to clear. And we're jumping right into artisans next, getting that worker set up. I like how we're going for flatland farms. We're making sure that we get food production. There really isn't much in the way of resources on this map that caters to the Greeks, but we do know that the ThePurpleBullmoose is one of his favorite nations is the Greeks. He professes himself to be a lover of the Greek nation, and I'm pretty familiar with his playstyle, or relatively familiar with his playstyle with these guys. He's a big fan of the Greek unique unit, trying to get up to a 7-law push. And since we have the Greeks in the game, may as well check the wonders right away. We have the Hanging Gardens. Babylon would love that, both for theme and also you can just get insane growth potentials. If you stack Freedom, the Hanging Gardens, and the Latent Growth boost for Babylon, you get a 60% growth boost in all of your cities, which frankly is just absurd. And then we have, the next wonder is the Lighthouse. And then that's it. Low rolls for weak and developing. Every other wonder in the game is strong. We have 5 strong wonders and 6 legendary wonders. So this is a very, very favorable flop for both nations. Greeks and Babylonians, because they're both are pretty decent at culture rushes, especially because we have an artisan's cap, and of course the Greeks start with drama, and we have artisans over here, so lots of potential for culture rushing and getting some crazy points. The museum and the mausoleum are both in the game, and the monumental Buddhist and the Colossus, all of which are great at trying to get to legendary. Mausoleum will spike your culture a tremendous amount, as will the Monumental Buddhist. The museum is just a high-value wonder because of the science, but the Colossus can offer you a chance at a slingshot event that will just jump you straight up to legendary. And then, of course, whoever gets to legendary first will have their pick of all of these great wonders. We have the Colosseum, the Chittergaw, the Heliopolis is on the map, the Hagia Sophia, Pantheon, and Circus Maximus. Of course, at the end of the day, all of this is points, 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 points. So if they reach a stalemate, the player with the best culture and the player with the best economy could win purely off of wonder spam. Everybody's favorite strategy, right? That's everybody's favorite strategy. But of course, there's plenty of time for our players to cross these lanes. We are on the Duel of the Ancients script with the water separating terrain. Oh, did I? Okay, we have now. So yeah, man, that's crazy. This is the narrow width. That's great. And yeah, so we have 3 possible lanes for our players to extend down. It's actually interesting. I think one of the other games I casted was also a Dota water map. So that's fun. So one thing I really like about this is we know for these kind of competitive multiplayer matches, something as simple as what direction your scout goes in, what direction your slinger goes in, can really determine these matches. And I think that goes double for the Duel of the Ancient scripts in particular, regardless if it's water, jungle, or sand. Because if the Babylonians come down this lane, and the Greeks come down this lane, well, then they'll be basically open to expand towards their opponent unobstructed, and they could just secure the whole lane, right? So then you have an interesting dynamic where maybe you have Greeks as far as this site or this site, right, for the Babylonians to deal with. Meanwhile, the Greeks have Babylonians as far as this site or this site. However, you could have an entirely different game if both players come down the same lane, because then you'd have Babylon clearing this one, while the Greeks are clearing this one, and then they'd both meet right here for some early game tension. And if you think about the way that those games could play out, those are completely different games. You could have two games, one where the nations don't even come anywhere near each other for like the first 30 or 40 turns, and then you could have another one where they walk right into each other. And the same goes for the third lane of whoever chooses to come down the middle. So there's 3 possible directions the players could go in, and most players only have the one. Well, most nations only have the one scout. So yeah, it's really kind of like its own sense of random. Like, you don't know if you're walking directly towards your opponent who has champions, or swift, or steadfast, or if they're Persia, a shitload of orders, or whatever else. Or you don't know if you're just going to be free. So scouting becomes very important on this map. I'm going to hop over to the Moose and see what's going on there. We definitely got our free settler lined up, and we have 2 settlers coming out. So let's see how we're doing on clearing to match that pacing here. We have 2 free sites open. Looks like we just cleared this one, and we'll be making our way towards this camp. Looks like it'll be upgraded by the time we get over there, so I think we're going to run out of time on that. And just give me one moment. We need to check something. Okay. Yeah, but that's going to be really, really large amount of settlers in just... What is this? This one will come out on turn 16. Yeah, so 3 settlers coming out by turn 16. So up to 5 cities we could have. We're still on simultaneous on turn 12. So I'm going to encourage them to switch. No big deal. No big deal on that one. Of course, they can choose to stay simultaneous if they want. But I wanted to let them know that they are still currently in simultaneous in the event that any player wants to bump into each other. Okay, so wow, this is crazy. Look at this. This is amazing. This is amazing. I love seeing something new. Is it a good idea? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? But we have built an iron mine. We're building a slinger. Look at this queue. We have a slinger, a warrior, and then a trapper. My goodness. And we've started with a warrior. Okay. We have a very, very interesting playstyle here. I'm going to have to apologize to Moose if I accidentally remain glued to Babylon for most of the game, because I don't know what on earth is happening. And of course, to Asteres, you know, if it comes to criticisms about the playstyle or the decisions you're making, please take that with, you know, with good intentions, because I think, you know, in the event that, you know, hopefully you'll be able to learn some tips and tricks and bits of advice while watching back these own games. We have lots of slingers now, 2 slingers, 2 warriors coming out. My issue with this, I mean, I kind of don't hate it, weirdly enough, but my issue with this is I just feel like you don't have the orders to support this many units so early. And of course, the obvious criticism here is that you're falling back on settler tempo. However, if you end up in a conflict with the champions, Greeks, relatively early, I think you're going to be safe, because you're going to have way more units than I think any player would expect a Babylonian player to have, you know, by the time, you know, turn 20 or 30, whatever it is, rolls around, because we're in just, by turn 18, Babylon will have 4 military units, which is just wild to me. So, the good news about that is, as long as they can keep their orders up, that's the other issue about this, is Babylonian is notoriously doesn't have the best order economy. But if they can keep their orders up and keep their momentum moving, they'll certainly have no issue clearing the rest of the map with the cadre of units that they've dished out. Moose is clearing his final site, bringing the settler down here to make sure he can save any units that are taking too much damage. He'll probably lose the militia, but I think that's probably okay. Or maybe he wants to back it off. One trick I like to do for those who are new is, if I'm trying to save this unit, I might back him off here, and then I'm going to put the scout in its place. And why will I do that? Because maybe I don't want this melee warrior to hit. You know, I don't want all 3 of these units to hit this warrior, so I might back him off to save him, put the scout in place, and typically in that scenario, what will happen is these two units will attack the warrior, but the melee unit will stand in place and only attack the scout. Yeah, see, I love that energy. It's like aggressive Babylon. Let's just take a moment and and sit back and enjoy the uniqueness. And maybe it's a horrible idea, or maybe it's gonna do great. You know, maybe we're about to learn a trick that none of us thought about. We already have an extra 3.2 training in the city, and an extra. What? This is a 16.1 training city. So since Champion Capital is up in the north, let's make a comparison. Obviously, their iron mine isn't on yet. So 15. All right, so they're neck and neck already for the Babylonians because they invested so much. Is that worth it? Probably not. I don't know what's up with the council coming up next either. But again, bear in mind, brand new player to multiplayer. I don't even know anything about their skill level. Probably should have asked a couple of questions before the cast. I want to get in the habit of doing that more often so we can learn more about the players that are playing in this tournament. Because I think that would be a lot of fun to learn more about their experience playing Old World and, you know, the way they think about the game. All right, so it looks like we took a pause here in general and we backed off everybody from this site. And we're healing up. Hopefully this warrior can get on this urban. And again, I would do the same thing here, right? You put this warrior on this tile, and then this scout could come here. And it will still body block that marauder. And then again, reasonably what should happen is these two units will attack the warrior, and the marauder will attack the scout. And the scout will be on an urban tile, benefiting from the defense of it. So it won't take too much damage. We brought in sages next, so our family choices for the Greeks are champions, artisans, and sages. Lovely combo. And let's take a peek at the science difference, because we do have a judge versus a hero, so no one with inherent science-based stats at this stage in the game. So our players are actually neck and neck in terms of science rate. Both are at 16. Babylon doing Babylon things. So it's 249 into this text tree so far at this early stage versus 235. Let's take a peek down here. And finally, we have a settler coming out in Babylon. Fantastic. Fantastic. So this is interesting. He queues up a lot of different stuff that he's thinking about. I'm fine with him. I mean, obviously, we would have not wanted to put any production in the warrior at all, but I'm fine with him letting it rest. It will decay a little bit. So Asteres, if you're not familiar with that mechanic, by leaving this warrior sitting in here for 5 turns, it's going to decay its production by 5%. It might be 10%, but I think it's only 5% every turn that it's not the main thing in queue. So just keep that in mind if you're unfamiliar with the mechanic, and this goes for anybody else watching, that if you let something in production hang like this, it will lose production over time. So this will probably go up to about 3 turns, possibly even 4, depending on how much it decays. Now that said, I do think it's correct to be swapping to the settler. He does need more settlers. In fact, this should also be a settler. We should be doing a 7-turn. He should be purchasing food here, and we should be doing a 7-turn settler here as well. Lord knows we have plenty of units to clear tribes. So this stream might be a little bit of a teaching game, potentially. So hopefully, again, Asteres, any criticisms, any bits of advice, please take it with kindness and, best intentions. And hopefully you'll enjoy the game. Hopefully you'll have a good game. And if, some of your ideas that you're expressing here don't work out so great, hopefully my commentary can help you learn a little bit too. Moose, on the other hand, if you're watching this after the fact, I mean, go nuts. Do whatever you want. It's going to be a fun time. Politics in Greece are fine. I mean, yeah, and you know what you're doing. So, I mean, do Greece stuff, and I'll try to find something that I can tease you about. Or maybe something I could teach you about. Because it's always nice when we can teach each other as the more experienced players, a lesson or two about what's going on in the game. I know I've learned plenty from ThePurpleBullmoose and Asteres, and they've all learned plenty from me. It's always great to, trade game knowledge. Oh, see, this is perfect. Somebody in the chat, Blunt Magic, fantastic. And you know, you're a long-term player, and that's what's crazy about this game. You can play this game for like 1,000 or 2,000 hours and still be like, wait, what? You can just learn a completely thing that you had a completely new thing that you had no idea. But yes, if you try to swap your cues around, just to reiterate that, this warrior. In fact, we can already see if you go back and looked at the tooltip. I think it was at something like 35 point something. Or 34 point something, and now it's down to 32, the training on this warrior. So yes, it does decay by, I think it's very small, I think it's 5%, but it might be 10%, every time that it's not the active item in the build queue. That said, though, sometimes it is completely a viable strategy to swap productions and let something hang for a bit. But yeah, you don't save the production indefinitely in the queue. So something to think about as you make those decisions more and more. So we have 5 cities to 2. No, 4 cities to 2. The good news for the Babylonians is that our Hittite... I've cast so many different games. I have so many different nation names rolling around in my head. I've seen games with Hittites and Egyptians and Babylonians and Axumites and all sorts of stuff. So anyway, the Greeks. In fact, this might actually be our very first Greek game of the tournament, which is super exciting. Love the Greeks. They're actually one of my favorite nations as well. But I actually think I'm bad at them when it comes to multiplayer. So I don't know if I'll play them much this season, but we'll see. I do like them, and I love the Hoplite. I think the Hoplite's a fantastic, unique unit. Pound for pound in terms of raw damage and potential counters. The Hoplite and Phalangite, if you get it early enough, is one of the least counterable units in the game. Because even something like the Hestastus, right? What does the Hestastus do? The Hestastus does a 25% melee counter. But the Hoplite in formation is a 20% combat boost. So the Hestastus still counters it, but it's only by 5%, right? So that's the way that I look at it. They destroy all mounted units, and then they have 20% bonus in pretty much any other situation. So really the big threat to them is siege. But, you know, that's siege. Siege is the big threat to everything. So they're very, very versatile. Excuse me. They're a very, very versatile unit. However, they're a melee unit, and they're a slow unit, and Greek don't really have the best order economy, so it's kind of situational. You need a map where you can really, like, fight tight. And interestingly enough, that's this map. These lanes are going to be tight quarters. So hopefully, I love the slinger that we're seeing up in Pella, because in my experience facing off Bullmoose, if he has one weakness, is he tends to run melee heavy compositions, and then will find himself in a fight in the mid game and think, oh crap, I only have like 2 or 3 slingers roaming around, and he needs more range units. Or, you know, sometimes he'll have 0 range units, and we've all made that mistake. So nice to see an early slinger coming out of the champ seat. And we also got our Acolyte running up in one city quite nicely. And I like that we put the Shrine of Zeus in the Artisan City, because the Artisan Seat is an incredibly strong city. It's really powerful. But the thing that it lacks comparative to a Sage or Patrons or anything else like that is it doesn't have civic production. So I actually love doing this, where you put, in Greece specifically, and I think Babylon can do this, you put your civic shrine in your artisan seat. Kush can also do this, to automatically give yourself 4 civics in the artisan seat, and that makes up for the lack that they have and allows you to just really do business. Like, this city is ready to do some serious business, and I appreciate that. So that's nice to point out in terms of strategy. Yes, okay, so it does, the decay changes depending on what you're working with, and apparently it's 10% for decrees and 5% for everything else. So thanks, Fluffy Bunny, for the info on that. Yes, the scholar cycle to the settler first turn trick is indeed a classic strategy. Love that Boldus is making those videos and making those tips and tricks more common. And it's really fun to be a part of that. It's really fun to see how people who have a presence in the community become associated with things, because I feel like last season there were a couple of things that would be like, oh yeah, like Scion does. So it's really cool to see that happening with Boldus in this season. There's a couple of players have been doing something, and we've all been like, oh yeah, that's Boldus's strategy. And it's really neat. It's really neat because there are a lot of good strategies out there, and it's nice when... I mean, that's one of my favorite things about these tournaments, and, getting these on stream and getting you guys in here live. 16 of you in the chat, by the way, so appreciate that. And of course, if you're watching after on YouTube, I'm glad you're here as well. Because I just think that's what's so fun about these, is we can all learn more about the game, because time is limited, right? Most of us can't play Old World all day, which sounds horrible because that's what I do. I just play Old World all day. But not all of us are that lucky, unfortunately. And so one of the ways you can learn is kind of through osmosis, by engaging the community, right? Like, you can get the opportunity to kind of learn about a unique strategy without having to play the game 10 times yourself, and then you can just try something out. You can be like, oh, Zealot on Rome, that seems like a good idea. Or, oh, Scholar on Greece, and immediately cycling on turn 1, that's a great idea. And then you can just bring it into your next game, which is a lot of fun. All right, so let's hop back on to the Babylonians real quick. I know it's the Greeks. So yeah, this stalling is really handy for Babylon because they've also stalled. They're still at 2 cities. They're trying to get their 3rd city out. So any momentum loss on the Greeks is handy. I don't necessarily know that they would have been able to smoothly clear this. I think maybe they are on tempo rather than necessarily falling behind. It does look like... No, there's scouts down here. I thought they lost a scout. So let's look at the known world according to Greece. This is the known world according to Greece. And this is the type that I'm talking about. The type of thing that you talk about. Conceptualize for a moment early game scouting. For all Greece knows, Babylon could be running a Zealot. And if Babylon were running a Zealot, for all Greece could possibly know, Babylon could be right here. Settled, expanded, maybe not completely settled on year 20, but possible, right? Expanded and already ready to start pressuring our core. But you don't know that without scouting. So we know that because this is the known world according to Babylon. And of course, Babylon is in fact going up the northern lane. So it does actually look like Greece and Babylon have picked opposite directions. And going back to what I was saying earlier, by picking opposite directions, the tension and conflict that they might face against each other is now going to be delayed. But they could have expanded in the exact same direction, which would have brought us into conflict somewhere around this arm of a lane. A really, really cool dynamic in these Dota maps. Duel of the Ancients, they have a variety of different ways to play them in terms of the barriers in the middle. There's sand, there's ocean, there's jungle, even mountains. And then you can randomize it. Now there's a brand new feature, which is super cool. You can randomize it. So this is the jungle. This is an ocean. You don't get to pick. It's just entirely random. And then maybe the end caps are either deserts, or maybe it's more jungle over here and more coast over there. That's gonna be, I have not explored that yet, but I'm super excited to try out a randomized map. But for the tournament, we've just stuck with the 3 main specific separators. We're going to use the sea one, the jungle one, and the desert one to kind of keep a similar mechanical theme of the 3 lanes of the maps while changing the overall terrains and puzzles and like barriers that people, the strategies people need to think about, because this is one of the maps in the tournament where coastal and naval play will become very key. You put a couple of ships in the Levantine Sea here, and I mean, that could be game defining. Question from the chat. Let me catch up on chat here. Yes, I also like that Greece is the only anti-mounted unit in the game, and I think that's one of the things that makes it so versatile, because it's anti-mounted, but it's not as weak to anti-infantry or anti-melee as most infantry units are because of formation. As I said, even an axe, what does an axe do? An axe is 50 or 25? 25, right? Yeah, even this axe, right? It's 25% versus polearm. Not only is a hoplite a 6 strength unit, but it's also going to have formation, which is going to negate anti-polearm by like it's going to bring it down to 5%, right? So that's what I think is neat. And same thing with the Maceman is probably a better example, because the Maceman is a 25% attack and also a 6 damage. But basically the hoplite negates that advantage down to 5%. And I think that's, whoa, we're getting really close here. That was a close call. Are we going to be, all right, we can clear this town, this turn, and we're going to settle right on top and save the warrior. Classic strategy there. So if you're new to the game or trying to learn or trying to get better, that's another thing you can do. Obviously, got really, really close in that situation, only 1 health left. But if you think, oh man, I think I might die if I try to clear the camp, as long as you have the settler nearby, you can go for it, because you just settle the city right on top of the unit and we're safe again. So really nice to see that from the Bullmoose. And we're getting our Shrine of Hades in a nice 3 mountain location. That's the shrine that gets extra culture based on its adjacencies to mountains and volcanoes. And we're opting to get another settler from Halicarnassus right away as well. So it looks like we'll get this slinger very likely down in this direction and heal up the warrior and keep clearing. I think that's the only settler coming out. So yeah, that seems about right. 10 turns from now, we expect that this site should be clear or mostly coming down to clear. And yeah, so 10 turns here, and then probably about another 13. Well, 13 in total, so another 3 or 4 to get the settler down here. Yeah, I think we can clear that in about 14 or 15 turns. More slingers and coming out from the Greeks. Liking this from Bullmoose, because again, as I discussed, knowing him personally, well, playing against him, I don't know him personally, but playing against him personally, and then also seeing saves and watching him play, he seems to be one of those players that every now and then forgets to build enough range units, so I like that he's going ranged heavy here. One thing I find interesting about the Bullmoose's current situation is that at turn 22, we started with stone cutting. I do like the early farms here. Nice to have a nice income of food, 26 food per turn, to make sure you can get your expansion piloted without having to purchase a bunch of food. I think really kind of detaches you from that early game economy quickly. But I am a bit surprised that we don't see any quarries anywhere. Or that we didn't mine this already, because one mine here, this mine would float you for the the first half of the game. But of course, he's prioritizing other things. He has his Odeon coming out now. He put a Shrine of Athena in Pella. Interesting choice, but science is science, so whatever. Oh, and I like this. All right, flatland mine. Fantastic. This is great. This goes back to what I was saying, that I've said numerous times. Just get the income you need. You have a free worker. We need metal. This is going to be 6 mine, and also it's an artisan city anyway. So actually, interestingly enough, putting artisan mines on flat is more efficient than trying to toss your artisan cities in a hilly area and improve them. I think you actually get more efficiency by saving yourself the order and still get a similar output. Not exactly the same, but a similar output to a hill tile, just on account of the fact that we are artisans. So vast flat territories are actually also good for artisan locations, because especially with the city seat, you get all this terrain to build and sprawl urban, which is useful, but then also you can still make plenty good use of mines out in the open here. So I'd like to see that from the Moose, getting the economy back up, because that was the only thing that I was looking at this point that seems a little behind. We're also getting labor force for the Purple Bullmoose, and let's see where we're targeted. We're targeting navigation. We're also targeting citizenship, which is interesting. So I guess we're going to go for an early divine rule, would be my guess, or maybe legal code. We did get aristocracy already. Yeah, we did divination into aristocracy, and it looks like we're climbing towards navigation and then citizenship. So knowing him, again, he likes his 4 to 6 law push. So I think if you get citizenship early enough, that really sets you up for a 7. Did I say 6? I meant 7. A 7 law push quite nicely, because usually citizenship can end up being one of your 7 laws. So yeah, that's nice. The problem being that nobody likes maces. Indeed, indeed, indeed. One of the nation colors looks blue for some reason. Well, Greece is blue. That'd probably be why. But thanks for tuning in, Spooky Wolf. And good luck at... Oh, I thought you were leaving to go to the doctors. Yeah, one of the nation colors is blue because the Greeks are blue. Yes, believe it or not, someone's actually playing Greece right now. This is the first in the tournament so far. The first... Oh! Okay, that's the joke you were making. Great. Yeah, spoiler alert, I'm very bad at sarcasm. Apparently, I found that out last season because Filthy Robot was very sarcastic often, and he, like 80% of everything he would say would go right over my head. And I just would have some stupid, wait, what are you talking about moment. So my apologies, yes, I'm abysmal at sarcasm. My apologies, that's really funny. Yes, so one of the nations is blue, and yes, it's because Greece has finally been picked in this year's tournament. That's really funny. Alright, let's see how we're doing with the Babylonians. Okay, the Babylonians have settled sages. What did we get? Stone cutting. Low roll. Still high value, but with navigation in the field, and the delayed settle, I think it would have been great to see navigation, or phalanx would have been awesome. Or actually, let's look at the cattle and horse situation. Even husbandry would have been great. Husbandry would be a couple of nice orders and more growth. Husbandry is one of those technologies that I think is fantastic to have, but I hate to tech it. Administration is one of those technologies too. I love administration. I think it's a fantastic technology, but I mostly love it because I play the Hittites who start with it. I love starting with administration. I hate teching administration. Greece is going to be better on the smaller map. It is a small arena, and the ocean tiles will make it even smaller. They'll allow the Greeks to transport themselves all along this lane quickly to their opponent, and they already secured a settlement in the center, which is nice. Building another shrine. Ooh, a shrine. This is a great location. I don't often emphasize adjacencies for shrines, but this is actually a really good spot for the Shrine of Poseidon. We'll buff these crabs eventually by 20 or 40%. 20 or 40, I don't remember. All right, building another settler in Ur, and we're building a trapper in Babylon. Yeah, I'm going to hold off on, I'm going to be reserved with my judgment here, because, I mean, at the rate we're clearing, we actually don't need the other settler to come out just yet. You know, we're gonna get this one out. And really, we have 3 cities to Greece's 5. Technically, we're only 1 city behind because, of course, with the free settler card of drama, you can expect that Greece is always going to be up that extra city, right? So really, in terms of clear time and settling, we're only about 1 city behind Greece. Once we clear this and settle this, we have caught up to the current clear rate. This is coming out in 7 turns for the Greeks. This is coming out in 5 for the Babylonians. We have a decent amount of units. Did we... Wait a minute. I'll be sad. Let's check something. Okay, thank God. I thought the Babylonians lost a unit already. That would have been... Oh, yeah, no. What they did, they stopped building their warrior in the capital. But they're... This confuses me. Why would you sit at 1 turn production and not just finish it? Ooh, I have lots of questions to ask this guy. I'm excited. I'm intrigued. Is there something about Q juggling? Is there a stupid trick to Q juggling that I've never figured out? Because if so, I might actually be upset. I hate when there's a crazy thing that I don't know about. That said, it's very exciting to discover. We have a Odeon. Okay, I thought that was a theater for a second. And we're going. Oh, right, we have a judge in the capital. So this I like too, because the one thing that's nice about Champs Caps on Greece is that it's super, super easy to get them to strong culture, and a judge has a really easy time also getting 4 to 7 laws. So, we could see. Oh, did we get the Blessed event as well? Nice. We have the Blessed Judge. We also got Inspiring on our ruler. How lucky is that for Greece? Greece, of all people, getting an Inspiring Judge. That's gross. We can become Strict if we want. What did we choose? We did. We choose Strict. So a Strict, Inspiring Judge. Not too bad. Could be F tier, yeah. No, I'm really curious to see how this pans out. If come the mid game, because it's very easy to think like, well, they're not building settlers, so they're gonna fall behind, and I can vibe with that thinking. But I'm holding judgment because I want to see where we land in the mid game. If we land in a position where we're equalized to Greece come the mid game, and of course, again, this is Asteres' very first multiplayer game, and ThePurpleBullmoose is very experienced at the game and did very well last season. Last season was his first time getting into multiplayer, and he adjusted quite well. So Asteres could adjust quite well too. But it could be a tall order to ask for a completely random new person to keep up with Moose, possibly. However, that said, I'm holding reservations for this decision making because, for me, as long as Babylon is in a similar or equal, not too far behind position as Greece come the mid game, then whatever weird decisions they seem to be making will be viable, at least in the context of this match, which makes me intrigued and makes me want to ask questions about it and kind of learn what the thinking is. But of course, if we fall terribly behind, then that's a problem. We're already looking at 36 science for the Greeks to 21 for Babylon, so that's not ideal. We also could have a really nice border boost for the Greeks. And we have military drill selected as well. I think it's going to be hard to pass up that border boost. Yep, we're going for border boost. Classic does make sense. We're going to be grabbing this marble, these lavenders, marble down here. Probably setting up a little bit of easier time getting coastal connection. I'm pretty sure we're going to grab these fish in Corinth. Really, really nice border boost, especially after getting our initial expansion phase to 5 cities squared away. Really, really nice. We also already have an aristocracy, so we can get an ambassador if we want or need. Upgraded to Ranger, maybe? Oh no, we healed. 8 turns on navigation for the Babylonians. So that's nice. Whoa! I'm absolutely tickled by this. The Babylonians have chain drive pinned in their tech tree. We have navigation. What caught my attention was that coinage was pinned. Well, coinage had the green, travel marker on it. And I was like, wait, coinage? And then I was like, wait, not coinage. It's beyond coinage. Where are we going? We're going all the way to chain drive. So I hope, my hope is the way this pans out in practice. Navigation early is fine. Ships, colonies, serfdom, all important, especially on this map. But apart from grabbing this, my hope is the way that this pans out is we're essentially doing a hydraulics rush, right? That's what this means, right? We're going to do a hydraulics rush, and then I guess we're just going to keep going. So that's amazing. That's amazing. This guy either has absolutely no idea what he's doing, or he's going to teach all of us an amazing lesson. And I'm also kidding, by the way. Don't take don't take that too personally, Asteres, if you watched it. I'm just teasing about you not know what you're doing. But it's funny. It's just funny. It's always great to see new things. Nice to see the Flatland Quarries really fond of this. Can never stress it. It'll always be something I highlight, or at least a little bit, because again, you need stone now. Nice to see it getting started. The Greeks now know by their scouting in this location that the Babylonians have yet, well, they can assume that they did not pick this lane, which would be a correct assumption because the Babylonians are up north. What I find fascinating the most, though, about this hero start. Oh, we moved it. We're moving our hero around, too. What is... We did that for the growth. Okay, I've done that before, actually. Moving your starting ruler to a second or third site to speed up the growth in that location. That's fine. I actually consider that a decent use of 100 civics. No big deal. We have 2,000 training already. We're capped on training in Babylon, so we're getting an extra 1 order per turn just by sitting at all of this training, by the way. And we'll get more every time we damage something. So we have just over 1 order per turn coming into the Empire by sitting at all this training stockpile, by the way. That's interesting and unique as well. Yep, we just got an extra 50 training. So this is almost going to be 2 extra orders for next turn. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Yeah, I think the only thing that confuses me a little bit is how come we're not using our general, our hero as a general. But I guess we want that growth, which is interesting because Babylon has its own growth boost. Yes, marking the tech tree doesn't do anything it doesn't influence the tech tree. It's just for you to keep track of where you want to go. And what it does is see the markers. Hopefully, real quick, you saw the markers in your hand when it pulled up. It also serves as a reminder. It's like, hey, you really wanted military drill, and it's in your hand right now. So that's what it's there. It's just for the player to remember what the heck they're doing. All right, making nice progress coming down to the central site. 2 turns on the settler from Halicarnassus. So keeping that tempo up, and soon we will be able to cross this lane and maybe even pressure into the Babylonians, which again is another interesting dynamic about this map because the bulk of the Greek military will be in this location by clearing in this direction. Through Babylon, that was a weird way to say that, through Babylon going north, it's entirely possible that the bulk of the Babylonian military could be right here by the time Moose is in a position to feel like he'll get a little cheeky with the opponent and maybe harass or whatever. So these maps are wild. They make very interesting games, in my opinion. I want to look at some stats on here on turn 30 between both nations. Wealth in Babylon is actually quite higher than the Greeks. Let's check if anybody bought a wonder yet. No wonders being pulled on the map yet. All right, so we have much higher wealth for the Babylonians. Population is relatively even, 7 to 6. Actually favors the Greeks at the moment. 3 specialists in Greece to only 2 in Babylon. Workers produced even 2 and 2, and they both have 2 free ones, 1 starting worker and 1 artisans. Military units produced. Greece has produced 3. Babylon has produced 2, which again is actually more than I might expect. Although I guess it's turn 30, so maybe not. Both 3 camps cleared for Babylon, about to be a 4th versus 2. So we're a little bit behind on tempo for the Babylonians. 2 laws for the Greeks versus 1. Technology discovered 7 for the Greeks versus 4. Improvements controlled, that's what I'm curious about. 15, so that's where we have an edge. We've been building a few more improvements for the Greeks. Nope, the Babylonians, forgive me. Let's look at the science output and how we're doing. Wow. Yeah, we're starting to see a spike from the Greeks here. 37 science to 22, and Bullmoose is looking at about a 200 science, 250 science tech lead invested in the tree. Let's look at orders, because both of these nations struggle with orders. We have 12 orders for the Greeks versus 10 for the Babylonians, but let's not forget the Babylonians have maxed out their training stockpile for now, so they're getting about 1 to 2 extra orders every turn or so. Graphs, yes. Let's look at some income. Stone income's finally going up for the Greeks. No quarries in Babylon yet, but I believe they were just building quarries, right? Down in their capital? Yep. So this will tick on for income soon. Let's see how we're doing on the map. Get back to the action. Greeks clearing this central site. Oh, I wanted to look at workers. Did I already look at workers? Yes, I did. 3 and 2. So they were just even, but a new one came out here in Pergamon. Slight edge there. I think there's a bit of tempo on the Greek side so far. Oh, nice. We built a road. Like to see that. So now we have connected status to these three. Oh, we built 2 roads. Really good roading here from Bullmoose. Resolving that connected issue early. And the nice thing is, with this city, it actually be connected as well. You've got to set up a road system between Halicarnassus and Baltimore. Oh. All right. Bullmoose names his cities. I forgot about that. But he's not naming all of them, so I got confused. The order struggle is indeed real. Absolutely. That's one nice thing I like about having a military archetype is, oh, is he going to mess this up? He's going to mess this up. I think he's thinking 1, 2, and we're connected. But he's going to be 1 tile off. Hopefully he'll catch it. Hopefully he'll catch it. Oh, and it looks like he is connected through the river. So I was wondering if that was going to happen. Does Bullmoose not have that explored? Is that... I don't think he needed to build this road. I actually don't think he needed to build these roads. Oh, well, anyway. Okay, Flatland Farmer. Probably not the best use of a build queue. What are we doing here? This is a garrison like that. That's going to help our order situation. This is another garrison, so this is nice. So kudos to Asteres for this. Getting very early garrisons is super important. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's building garrisons before Mr. Moose, who got the laws online quicker and faster. Yeah, there's not a single garrison being made in Greece currently on turn 30, and yet Babylon is building 2 garrisons here on turn 30. So that is definitely a step in the right direction for Asteres, and he's even building a trapper, which I kind of don't always hate. I think we're struggling with queue management a bit, to be honest, because I don't know, the capital has built a lot of weird stuff. Like, also, why do we have the regular farmers queued up? So basically, that would be my big piece of advice here when it comes to queue management is the times and moments where you want to build a regular farmer is really low. There are times where I'll do it, but almost all of those times include the fact that I'm in a landowner's nation. Or maybe a sage's. Maybe in a sage's. But yeah, generally speaking, don't build farmers. We have a beautiful flood that has hit the Babylonians. Look at this. Look at how restricted this city is from this flood. Literally, there's just like 7 tiles that this worker can move on because of the flood. You can't even cross here because of the flood. He has epics active. That's fascinating. And he's not advancing towards any camps. So, yeah, we're definitely falling behind in tempo here because Moose is coming down this lane hard. And if Moose creates a border here, if he gets to this city and then creates the ability to threat and or harass into the Babylonian heartland, that could make it very difficult for the Babylonians to secure more territory. And at this point, we need this city site and this city site to run even potentially this city site, to run even with the Greeks. So we're a solid 2 sites behind at this point. Yeah, building these random rural specialists can be important for grabbing tiles, but yeah, we're not really grabbing anything with this one. You know, I really don't actually mind the trapper because again, we know our order economy sucks. So this actually makes sense to me. I don't mind that at all. It would be nice if we had our hunters there, but we don't, and that's okay. This would have been a pretty good hunter's capital though, because there's iron. Also, there's a trapper, and also there is a camp and elephants, and if we knew we were going to be putting specialists in these locations, well then the value of these camps and would increase dramatically. So like a trapper and this elephant would be worth 2 orders, and that would just be awesome. So maybe in the future think about that as well. What resources are around your capital and how can you maximize them? I still think artisan capitals are fantastic, so I mean no harm there really, but this also I think would have made a really, really good hunter's capital. And I always like doing hunters, or rather one of the benefits of doing hunters in a nation like Babylon or Kush or Persia is that when you get your unique unit bonus card, it will come out with Sentinel. That's always nice and something to think about. You don't really get that unless it's the capital. Two turns to navigation, another 2 turns, or now if we force march this, which I would force march, settle this site. We're running out of orders to do that though, although we have 1 million training, so we could, alright. We gonna see it? Let's do it. Come on, Asteres. Nope. Shit. Alright, well that's something to think about in the future as well. Another lesson you could probably learn. Getting your build queues online quickly is very helpful for long-term. Why are we over here? Are we not aware of the edge of the map? If that's the case, so let's talk about that. If you see... I can't give an example because I can't see the normal clouds as the observer. But over here somewhere, Greece, or Babylon rather, you are looking at nice, flowing, puffy, whitish clouds. Conversely, over here you see dark, a little bit flatter, not as puffy. I think they are actually use the same texture, but these always seem flatter to me. Anyway, you're looking at dark clouds with lightning and storm clouds, and I'm pretty sure you can hear the thunder and lightning. I wouldn't know because I play the game muted. In fact, the game isn't muted, is it? If it is, my apologies. No, it's not muted. Great, fantastic. Yeah, this is the edge of the map. You can't explore this. This is the border. You can't go along here. So in case you're not familiar with that, and I'm only going on that little rant or teaching spree here because I have no earthly idea why this warrior would be sitting right here. And he moved him into this position last turn. So the only thing that makes me think why he would do that is because he thought there was more territory over here. So no, this is the edge of the map. Back to Moose. Settler almost will be settling his 6th city next turn. This will be a nice location for sages, I suppose. How many sages cities do we have? We already have 3. Do we really want a 4th? I mean, I guess the answer to that is yes, but that will be a lot of piling discontent up. You could always do something cool and put a champion city here and use all these couriers to get yourself super fast officers. But considering it's a sage settler, I'm assuming he'll settle it for the extra citizen. Also, once he's done, he's building a worker in Pergamon. This is something I love to do, by the way, guys, so I'm going to point it out. You come down here, you settle this. This is done in 1 turn. You then migrate this So you get a settler, a sage settler, settle here for the extra citizen. For those who don't know, if you take a settler of a particular family type and settle the same family with it, you'll get one extra citizen in the city to start. So you do that first. You're finishing up your first improvement, which is your marble quarry in Pergamon, which already has a worker under construction. Next turn as well. You migrate him down, and he can even get to here and start on this marble. So the same turn the city's going to be founded, you can actually start improving the city. And then in 5 turns, another worker comes out for this other location, and it doesn't have to move anywhere because it's where it belongs. Love the efficiency. Blunt, what has you thinking about Artisan for marbles? Just curious, because I want to make sure that you are aware that Artisans only buffs mills and mines, not quarries. But I mean, Artisans is great for the culture, right? So as you level up your culture, you can definitely use all the civics for sure to get yourself more specialists in the city. So I'm not saying this wouldn't be also a good artisan spot. But sometimes people make that mistake and they think artisans buff all of those rural improvements. Hello, Alcaris. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining. Four turns on navigation for the Greeks. I'm pretty sure we just got that as Babylon, right? 1 turn on Babylon. So Babylon will get to navigation first, but Greece has more technology overall. I think. I'm pretty sure, right? I know they did a couple of bonus cards. 8 technologies to 4, but look at overall invested science. Let's take a peek at that. 846 science for Bullmoose, 587 for Asteres. Ah, indeed, yes. Just mines and lumber mills. No, they did. I don't think they did. I don't think Artisans ever did it. They certainly never did it by the time I started playing, which was in 2022, around the Steam release. And what makes me confident about that is because I remember as far back as then, people coming into the Discord community and suggesting, whoa, I apologize if my mic just made a funky noise. It wouldn't be a scientific stream if it didn't. But no, I distinctly remember even as far back as then, because I feel like every 6 months or so, somebody comes into Discord and thinks that artisans should buff quarries, which would be just gross if they did, because everybody loves quarries. So that's probably why they don't. Speaking of quarries, we have an artisan's worker, and we have not yet caught this failed connection. So, Asteres, another piece of advice. I'm currently pressing the B key. This might be hotkeyed to something else for you, but it should be the B button. If you press the B button, it will show you your connected status. So obviously we can see all the green from the rivers. Ah, shit, he's building roads too. Yeah, he thinks he's connected. This is really unfortunate. So what we're missing here is that, yes, roads add connections along the network, but what we're missing is that your road needs to actually connect to the river. And technically, the river ends on these 2 tiles. Even, this is... I suppose it's kind of hard to explain, because I could understand why you think the river goes to this tile, but it doesn't. So that's a bit unfortunate, because I don't mind the idea of roading, I suppose. But it's unfortunate because it's all for nothing. Council in the capital. What is happening? And also, we still haven't built this warrior. Are we trying to get a law? Is that what we're trying to do? Yeah, probably, but council is only going to give us an extra 4.8 civics, so probably not a good use of time. Definitely don't want to be building specialists, but you could instead be finishing off this warrior or building more workers. I would finish out the warrior, and then complete this worker that we have queued up. Also, perhaps not to confuse yourself, I wouldn't get into the habit of leaving a bunch of stuff hanging in your queues. Because let's say you bring this warrior to the front and you finish him. If you forget to inspect your queue, you could start working on a worker or a farmer that maybe you don't want in the moment. Now, my thinking is maybe you do this because it helps you remember that you want to get these things at some point. And so maybe you're checking your queues regularly. But I also know that council was in your queue at one point. So maybe this is an example of the fact that something finished. Council got bumped up to the front line. And since you don't have the notification prompt coming to tell you to come back and remind you of your build queue, you may not even be noticing that your council is running. Now, again, I don't want to presume too much, so forgive me. But this is just all of my takeaways of the things that I'm noticing from the playstyle here is that for me, yeah, you're juggling your queues around, which is interesting. For me, this would confuse the hell out of me, and it would also prevent me. It would make me make mistakes, basically. Like, yeah, we also just added a miner here. I don't understand that. This would confuse me. But of course, we all think differently and we all tackle problems differently, so maybe this is the right way for you to do it. That said, lots of rural specialists, so I'm not really a fan of that. Really think we should be churning out the warrior by now. You know, we put so much time into it, you might as well. We've lost a few turns on it by now, for sure. And then, I don't know, build another worker. All right, back to the moose. Oh, that's a great point. Thank you, Asteres. I don't think it really matters for anything in the queue right now except the warrior. But yeah, this is also 50 iron that's just sitting right here. That you took out of your market, and it's basically in the ether. It's not anywhere. You know, it's just sitting there. It's like Schrodinger's iron. Like, will it one day be a warrior, or is it not a warrior? It's like, you know, can we sell it? Can we use it to build something else? I don't know, because it's just stuck in your build queue. Yeah, so that's also a really great point, Alcaris. Thanks for bringing that up. 5 turns to phalanx for the Greeks. We got colonies first. Really nice grab, and we are collapsing borders. This has won Bull Moose many a match in the past. And many players. Making sure if you are on a water-based map, making sure you get your water lanes connected and set up can be crucial for these games. Like, absolutely game-defining. Even I myself, ultimately, you know, among many reasons, lost a game to... Whoa! Oh, man, I'm going to throw my mic in the garbage. I lost a game to a player, and one of the many factors that certainly assisted them was a robust water network that I did not have on my side of the map. So we have garrisons finally coming out. One garrison. Just one garrison in Greece so far. A barracks coming out. Okay. I really like to try it because Greece is so starved for orders. I really like to try and get our garrisons out as early as possible with the Greeks, personally. I mean, I think Moose is playing a fine game. His economy is, you know, decent. He obviously has great science. 52 science on turn 36 is pretty good. You know, we're above our benchmark. He did not migrate his worker, but I guess he wanted to tile buy, so I can get behind that as well. Forest Fire and Megara. No real harm there. We went for an ambassador. Nothing particularly special about this one, but, you know, they were doing ambassador things. What about events? Kill 5 Thracians. Can we do that? There were 4 here, and this camp's about to upgrade. So yes, we actually can do that. I'd like to see him grab this here, because now... Ooh, that's unfortunate. Because now, I don't know if you guys know this, for the longest time, raiders, even though they say right down here on this tooltip, they say that they're from a tribe, for like 2 or 3 straight years, this never counted for ambitions that will say things like, oh, go kill the Thracians. But now they do. That was changed just a few months ago, like 4 to 6 months ago. So there's actually 4 viable targets now, and 2 more are coming on the way. So he could have very easily secured that kill 5 Thracians ambition. I disagree. Blunt Magic says, Phalanx says Greece tells me he's not thinking about unique units. I think he is. I think citizenship is 7 laws. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Citizenship is 6. And we're Greece, so we could do architecture or monasticism. In fact, monasticism is tagged, so that's 7 laws right there. He has his 7 laws tagged. Sovereignty, monasticism, citizenship, 7. Including navigation, of course. So that's pretty straightforward to me. I think he's just doing a 7-law timing attack with the Greeks, which I'm feeling is going to do the job against this Babylonian player, unfortunately. So depending on how quickly Moose gets rolling, and if we don't really get ourselves moving along in Babylon, this could be a serious problem. We're not really advancing anywhere else as the Babylonians. And it's a bit unfortunate because I think tall play is still a viable strategy in multiplayer. I don't think it's explored enough, and I think the best possible example of that is Ninja versus Asteres in the previous tournament. If you ever want to go back and give that a watch, because Ninja rexed and took something like 65-70% of the map. Asteres was stuck with a very, very small corner of a very wide arena, and yet there was a very viable 20 or 30 turn window where Asteres could have come back and won that game. So tall play is viable. I would love to see it explored more by some players. Unfortunately, I just don't think this Babylonian player is really going to be able to make it work with the momentum that Moose is already working with. We have another settler here. So yeah, Moose is going to be here in, let's call it approximately, it's turn 37, approximately turn 42-ish. And then there you go. You have a border. You have a potential threat. And we are stuck to 4 cities compared to what will be 7. We still want to clear and expand, maybe. Another lane is open. And, yo, we're building a bireme. Where are we building this bireme? We're building this bireme on the outer sea, too. Yeah, not looking great. Not looking great. So, general rule of thumb, I would say. Early game considerations is you want to build settlers to expand as fast as you can. In terms of actual settling cities. And yes, you want to build some early military to keep yourself safe and also to ensure that you can keep expanding. So the amount of military you build is not necessarily a bad idea, Asteres, but I think it's the timing with which you did it. Babylon should have built a settler second. Or maybe you could have even just, with your worker, built a miner. And I would have actually been behind you building a military unit second. So a settler or a military unit out of Babylon second would have made sense. But I think, what did we do? Did we build the trapper first or the miner first? We built the miner, then a military unit. So, and then we built a trapper, and then we built a settler. So, you need to be a little bit more targeted on that. This one unit is about to get its ass kicked, unfortunately. It's literally going to take over 10 damage. So it's immediately going to have to retreat. And the unfortunate thing about that is that basically means you just wasted orders. You moved you took however many orders it came to move here. An order to attack. You're going to take 11 damage. And you're going to have to immediately turn around and heal yourself. So let's call that 1. Let's say we were here-ish. So it's like 1, 2, 3-ish, 4. And then we're going to do 5, 6, 7, heal. By advancing solo, you basically just wasted 7 orders. So, you have this slinger coming up. You kind of want to wait that you can attack spawned camp with multiple units. Check it back on the Moose. Again, my apologies, Mr. Moose. You're not getting the full scale of my attention because I think Asteres could use the advice. And hopefully, should he luck out and not manage to defeat you in this match, hopefully his morale will stay high. He'll move on to round 2, take a couple of valuable lessons from this game, and have a better round 2 match. But yeah, you're doing fine, Moose, right? You build a barracks. You're building a garrison. I think I'd build more garrisons. Is this a garrison? There you go. That's a garrison. Is this a garrison? That's a garrison. Fantastic. Right, so we're building our garrisons, and we're being moosey. Classic. Classic moosey. We have slingers this time, which is also fantastic. We're not going to run into a situation where we don't have a single melee unit and then lose the game because of it. But yeah, we're doing great. Watch. Everybody check. Pay attention. Because we have, I'm really gonna highlight that. We have, okay, great. This is actually awesome. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slingers on their map. Does anybody in chat want to take a bet that between now and the end of the game, at most, we build maybe one more? Oh, we're built, not including this one. So this is 6 slinger. How many slingers do you want to think that Moose actually gets? Do you think he stays at 6 for the rest of the game, or do you think he actually builds a few more slingers? That would be fun. I don't know why I'm trolling about him about the range thing so much. So forgive me for that, Moose. But I love, this is great. I love it. He's going to have 6 slingers, and that's fantastic because I fall into that trap with Greece all the time. Who else? There's somebody else I fall into the trap with often as well. They start with ironworking. I think it's the Romans. Because the unique units are great too, right? The Roman and the Greek unique units are great, and they start with ironworking. And then next thing you know, it's like turn 40, and you're fighting a battle with your super cool unique units and stuff, and you realize you only have like 2 slingers, and you can't kill anything because you can't last hit anything. And that is just the most frustrating situation to run into, because you're like, I did it! I executed my strategy, but now you just can't do anything with it. Doing a Shrine of Nabu in... Let's see if I can say this correctly. Dur Kuragazu. Nope. One more time. Dur Kuragazu. I don't know why I feel so insistent to try and actually say the names of cities. I just like it. I think anything that enhances like the narrative feeling of these games as we're watching it. It's one of the reasons why I like to call out, you know, the landmarks. I'll be like, oh, you know, they're fighting along the Oxus River, or you know, there are finally ships in the Mediterranean. I don't know. I just think it enhances the narrative of the games as we're watching. Control 5 specialists for the Babylonians. Now, this could be something. Control 5 specialists could be something. I wasn't really eyeballing the ambitions that Babylon had. This could be one of the reasons why they're doing these random specialists. Still, probably not the best use of your Qs, but it would make more sense to me if you're being ambition-focused. And just another thing to mention, I'm sure that this was brought up, but in case you missed it, ambition victory is disabled, so ambitions are important to complete, but you don't need to orient your entire game around them as much. And also, you can always say no. You know, if Control 5 Specialist isn't an ambition that you really want to focus on because you don't want to spend all this queue time doing that, you can just decline it and either do something else or take the next ambition at a different opportunity. Yeah, Snap. Yeah, me too. Rome especially. I think Rome even more so than Greece. For some reason, you hit the mid game and you're like, you're like, even if you do the 7 loss spike, you're like, I have legionnaires now. I'm coming to destroy the world. And then you realize you can barely kill anything because you can't move in an actual fight. It's infuriating. The amount of times I've gotten to turn 40 as Roman, I don't even have trapping. Which is weird because, I like barracks so much. So, that multiplayer has helped me alleviate that issue a lot more. Mostly because, what? We have an automated scout. Okay. We really need, somebody needs to do a 10 things not to do in a multiplayer match. And another one on those another things on that list is don't automate your scouts. Look at, don't automate your scouts. This is standing around in the open, and Bullmoose can see this. So not only can he see this, but he can see this icon. So you, oh no, you actually are aware that your opponent has automated the scout, which makes it simultaneously funnier to me, but also makes me feel even worse about it. I think if it were me, knowing that this is I know it's a tournament, and I know Moose is way more competitive than I am, but if it were me in this match right now, I might not actually even kill this scout, because I'd be like, wait, he automated it, and I would just feel bad, because that's such a bad thing to be doing right now. No. Yeah, it's a really big one for multiplayer. Don't automate your scouts. And the reason for that is because you can't control where they go. You're out in the middle of nowhere for some reason. Also, they can waste your orders. Also, if you just don't want to scout anymore, find a forest, any forest, pick a forest, throw the damn thing in the woods, and then just forget about it. Like, I think scouting is important. You want to be actively scouting. You want to have a plan around that. You want to be able to keep eyes on your enemy. But if you don't have the time, the orders, or the bandwidth to deal with it, that's fine. But I would rather you put a scout in the middle of the woods somewhere on the map and just leave it there than automate the damn thing and have it quite literally walk directly up to your opponent's borders. Good God. Are we moving this? Or is it moving on its own? I don't even know. I don't even know. Is the Babylonian player doing that? I think no, right? It says it's automated. So, yeah, don't do that. But yet that movement happened in his turn. I always thought automated units... did we lose the Slinger? Oh, no. Oh, yes, we did. We did. We lost the Slinger. So the Slinger, we stayed in this fight. We didn't return and heal this fight. All right, so we have lots of things to work on, but that's okay. Asteres, if this game doesn't demotivate you, hop on the Discord between now and your round 2 match and ask a few different players for a couple practices, Matt. Ugh, I can't speak English, damn it. Ask for a few practice matches. You got Hazard on Discord, you got Zophister, you got myself. I'd happily play a practice game with you and answer any question you have and or offer you any kind of beginner-friendly tips. And we'll just, we'll figure it out. But yeah, not looking so hard because struggling with the barb camps certainly can happen, but it's definitely not a great position to be in. And and I want to be clear about something. Anyone can struggle with camps because any one of you who are watching this live or after the fact, who tuned into the last tournament, will be very aware that ThePurpleBullmoose, of all people, failed to clear his first camp in his very first tournament game last season. And then I think he also lost his first warrior. I can't remember, but it was an amazing game where he had just a disastrous start. Now, he fortunately went on to win that game, but just goes to show that anybody can have a hiccup and trip up with the barbarians. But, yeah, we're really behind in tempo here. for the Babylons, which is a bit unfortunate because Greece is having a really good game right now. We have aristocracy in the tech tree. I would like to see military drill be grabbed, to be honest, actually, but aristocracy's fine. Coinage is highlighted because we're doing the crazy chain drive highlight thing. But obviously, I hope we do not grab coinage at this stage. That would be a really deep dive to a technology that's not going to pay us back all that much. What are we looking? What else is going on? We have 11 orders left, so it's just pretty much the start of our turn. Yep, and we have this finished road network, but man, is this heartbreaking because, brother, you are still not connected. You really need to press B. And the part of me just kind of wants to type in the game in the observer chat, be like, hey, Babylon, press B. Obviously, I'm not going to because this is a tournament match. This is a competitive thing, but I'm in such teaching mode. You know what would be cool? It would be cool to do a casted game like this that's not even a tournament match. It's literally just for someone like ThePurpleBullmoose or myself or Alcaris. We literally just do a teaching game. Like, have you never played multiplayer before? Get two completely random noobs who have never played multiplayer game before, put them in a match against each other, turn on the camera, and just teach them how to play and give them a video that they can watch back. You know, and just set something like a 2-hour timer and just do whatever number of turns that they can get done in 2 hours, whether it's combat or not, and just kind of give them a tutorial about things to think about and how to play and all that stuff. I think that would be great. Old World Coaching, yeah. Bullmoose did that. Bullmoose did that live with our good friend Jams. He no longer plays at the moment, which is unfortunate. And really, though, I think Moose is giving his opponent the grace. This scout walked up here, walked all around here, and now he's walked down here. So kudos to you, sir. Because I really feel like Moose is aware that the scout is automated and is thinking to himself, yeah, this guy is going to need a little bit of extra help, so I don't really need to kill this scout. I'll just let him automate the scout, see what he sees, and let him figure out his game. So kudos to you, Moose, if that's actually what you're doing, because frankly, I have to say, I would do the exact same thing. I mean, blood in the water, I would almost instinctively probably try to kill it, but if I did notice this gear icon before I killed it immediately, yeah, I think I would be like, ooh, yeah, we have somebody automating a scout. Maybe I'll just let them mind their business. And also because the scout's not even scouting well. That's the other thing. I hate to say it. No insult to Alex, who programs the AI in this game and has done a fantastic job, but I mean, I don't even think the scout has been doing a good job scouting. Let's look at the known world according to Babylon. Yeah, maybe a little bit. If it came all the way up this way, I guess that's fine. Now it's going to try and come down here. All right, so I guess if we came all this way, came over here, did a loop, and then came back. But what I find interesting is that we're at war with Greece, right? Yeah, these nations are at war. So I think what I find fascinating is why is this scout all out in the open? Why did it come up in this loop around, like it was 3 tiles away from an enemy unit? So that's the only thing I quite don't understand about the automation in this case is why would it put itself in danger? But anyway, yep, we're going to have to back off and heal up for the Babylonians. Really unfortunate. We can get serfdom now, which is nice, or slavery, which would be nice. Either of these are good pickups for the Babylonians. Let's check in on PBM and see how we're doing with laws there. We have 3 laws, and we're getting monasticism in 5 turns. So we're about to hit 4 laws with the Greeks. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 developing cities. Oh, we're cranking out a couple of Olympiads, too. That's neat to see. Get our training ramped up. Getting our barracks is online. And yeah, in 5 turns we still have a judge, so as long as we're still alive in 5 turns, we can instantly upgrade our garrisons to strongholds and start mass producing military units, especially if we hold court. I'd like to see some hold courts coming out of the Greek king, because we could even civic rush a couple of hoplites, and we could just go for the throat early. One thing I would like to see also, although his priorities, I mean, he's really running his empire right now. And of course, as we all know, Greeks has just a trash order economy. But it would be nice if we got a little bit more scouting into this region to kind of... Is my computer making more noise than normal? If you guys can hear weird noise in the background, let me know, and I apologize for it, and I'll try to address it later. But anyway, I'd like to see a little bit more scouting here on the part of Moose, just to get a sense of what we're really looking at. They have met, by the way, so Moose can see that his opponent is much weaker and primitive. I haven't really kept up on that in a while. Let's go look back on that military graph. Yeah, this is... Oh, wow, that's so bad. Turn 42, and there's still only 80 power in Babylon. We lost a unit. We do know that. We might have lost a second unit. Thank you, Beck. I appreciate that. I always appreciate anybody, if you ever hear ticks or tapping, like I'm probably going to tap and it will actually make noise, so I apologize. But if you ever hear stuff like this, you know, consistent ticks, tapping, background noises, please chime into the chat and let me know, because I cannot hear that stuff. I have a hearing problem. I'm not able to hear those tiny little subtle annoying noises. And ironically, what makes it so infuriating is if I go back and watch my own cast, not on a computer, but on my phone to do an audio check, something about the way my phone speaker works, I can then hear that stuff on my phone. That's the only context with which I can hear it. And then I realize, oh, cool, there's been this weird banging in the background for like 40 minutes of my cast. So it's a huge appreciation to anybody tuned in. If you ever hear anything annoying or anything wrong audio-wise with the stream, just please let me know. And even if I can't fix it in the moment, I'll at least be able to investigate and figure out what it was and try to address it in future streams. So appreciate that a whole bunch. All right, so 4 turns to monasticism. Our opponent is much weaker, so I think Moose can kind of read the field on that. But that's also another reason to kind of send the scout forward, just to kind of take a peek. Be like, okay, he's much weaker, which means he only has a few units. But also the question is, where are those units? Because even this small force of Greek units, after the city gets settled... Oh, did I say 42? I think I said 42, so it looks like it's going to be 44. Okay, whatever. I like trying to predict, like, exactly what turns certain players are going to do certain things. I don't know why, but I've kind of gotten into that as a little bit of a hobby. But anyway, you know, take a couple turns to heal these guys up. And even a force like this, in this situation, I hate to say it, would be enough to really threaten a defeat for the Greeks here. But that's why I'm looking forward to round 2. Because, you know, we tried to do our matchmaking as best we could for the first round. We tried to approximate certain seedings. But, you know, when it comes to the people who have never played before, it's just your best guess. And we put we put everybody towards the bottom when it came to matchmaking, you know. But ultimately, even all the new players being at the bottom, you might have some very skilled new players, like Klaus Koala and Aaron last season had never played a multiplayer match. And both of them walked into the multiplayer scene and started cleaning up competitively. They were just kicking ass left and right. You know, so there's no way we can predict that. So you're going to put those people as low seed. But then you can have a different player who, you know, maybe... just doesn't have a lot of the fundamentals down. So one of the things why I brought that up, one of the reasons why I like the format that we're using now is because round 2 is going to be actually fairer for everybody. Everybody who won their first match is going to face off against everyone else who won their first match. And everybody who lost their first match is now also going to face off against everybody else who lost their first match. So there's going to be a lot... Round 2 is going to be interesting to watch. There's going to be a lot more even matchups, I think, which would be cool to see. And we've already had some great matchups between players in round 1, by the way. Both for low-skilled players and high-skilled players. We've had a couple of matchups where we had very skilled players facing off against each other. And we've had a couple of matchups with, players maybe a little bit lower skill, but they're still more even in their current match. So, yeah. But it's been interesting to see. Occasionally we do get some matches where it seems like one opponent is a little bit stronger than the other in terms of overall skill. 3 turns of monasticism, finishing up another garrison. Finishing up our barracks complex. This is just bread and butter right here. Very simple. Working on mines in the city. We could use garrisons and barracks here, but he wants to make sure he has his mine and metal income up and running. So I don't even hate that there isn't one of those improvements going on, because I like the fact that he's making sure that he's keeping his metal up. He's getting his flatland mines up over here with the artisan seat. So these are all lessons to take as well, Asteres. If you go back and rewatch your own match, we can also learn tips and tricks from our opponents and what they're doing. And so they're kind of like they're getting their efficiency of resources less from the build queues. They're not like building random farmers or random miners. They're just building a lot more improvements, right? And that's a valuable thing to do as well. And you'll notice that they did build some roads, but they didn't invest too much time building roads. Although, I don't know. I can't really shit talk the road building thing over here, because Oro played a game recently and built a bunch of roads like from turn 4, and it worked out amazing. But I also think it depends on the map that you're on. Now here's another example. We also now have a 3rd mine in the city up and running. Love that we have 3 mines being worked on right here, all in a row, all ready to be adjacency. And one thing that I'd like to see in this region, if we're really itching to get metal production up running, even though this isn't an artisan seat, I would like to see 1, 2, 3, have them all build another mine, so you have like this honeycomb structure of adjacent mines all buffing each other. And then you can just go back to building whatever the heck you want to do between that progress down here and the progress up here that we're doing. We probably don't even need to save these woods, so Moose can keep mining along this corridor, turning all of this wood into metal and stockpiling the wood for his unique unit, right? And then he can do chopping sprees over here if he wants. You don't really need to save this wood, turn it into mines. Between those two decisions, I think he'll have enough metal indefinitely to close out the game, which is going to be cool to see. So I want to come back to this and see what happens, what he does with these workers when he's done. It also would make sense to do the garrison and the barracks and all that fun stuff. He's building a boat. Love to see the boat. 2 boats. 2 boats are important. That's going to really ensure his mobility along this ocean. And it's going to create a decisive advantage. A 3rd boat! Wow, fantastic. Honestly, I think 3 boats is the precisely exact number of boats that you should shoot for. And no, I will not elaborate. I'm kidding. Of course I'll elaborate. Basically, I think if you bump into a boat in the ocean, you need 3 ships. Assuming that you get a decent general or a decent promotion on a couple of the boats. You typically need exactly 3 hits to kill the average boat in the ocean. So, one nice thing to do if you're trying to gain ocean supremacy or control it is to think in 3s. If you have 3 ships and your opponent only has 2, you have an advantage. Because if you alpha strike, you're going to strike down 1 ship. If they try to alpha strike, they won't even kill any ship and they'll lose. So I think thinking in 3s for the ocean is something to think about as you are trying to contest these seas in these important in these maps where the ocean control becomes super important. Really still struggling to work on this camp, and that's going to be a bit heartbreaking for me with the Babylonians' experience in this game, because again, there's no way we can know, the experience level of these players. So it's going to be really rough for this player to have been spending so much time trying to clear this site, and then basically, let's say they even achieve it. Did they lose another unit? They did. Oh, that's dreadful. They've lost a 2nd unit trying to clear this camp. Well, I mean, that's a lesson learned. Going back to what I was saying earlier, you walked up here with the slinger by itself against a full camp. There was another slinger coming up, and I think you had another warrior. This warrior was already alive, running around because it's promoted. So there's the lesson learned. At least what I call it, we call it staging which means getting all your units in a location ready to make a move on something. Typically, we apply this towards making an attack. Like ThePurpleBullmoose is going to be staging his units down here in order to come kill you. So you could stage a couple of units, and get them ready to all move towards the camp in unison rather than taking one unit in at a time, because then you run into a situation where, you might even lose this warrior. All right, nice. Okay. Going straight for the camp. We're going to spawn another unit in a second. Yeah, this is tricky. So, advice on this front is play a couple solo games. Don't even play against computers. Don't even bother adding a nation onto the map. Just pick a dual map, play by yourself, and practice clearing tribal camps. Take 20 minutes doing it. You just 30 minutes. Just crank out 30 or 40 minutes playing the first 30 turns, 20 turns of a game. Crank out, clear 3 camps. See how fast or how well you can clear 3 camps, and then do it again. Take an hour, play 2 or 3 20-turn, 30-turn games, and practice clearing camps. And I think that would do wonders for you and how smooth the next game's going to go. Yeah, I like the Swiss too, but what I like this especially is it's like a mix between Swiss and elimination, rather than, because we had thought about doing Swiss, like regular Swiss. But the problem I have with that is that you can get into a position where you're mathematically impossible, like you're not going to win, and yet you're still required to keep playing. So the one thing I like about the hybrid format that we have here, which is, as far as I understand it, a common esport thing, is at no point will any player in this tournament be asked to play a game if the championship is not within reach of them. If, like, the final game, like the crown of winning this whole tournament is not, they're not on that path. And that's what I like about the elimination aspect of it, is because with regular Swiss, you could, like, lose your first 3 games in a row, and then it becomes statistically or mathematically literally impossible for you to win a tournament. And that seems like a bad ask for players. It's like, why ask someone to play 2 or 3 more games when there's no chance that they're going to win? Some people like to play just for a record or whatever, and that's cool, but I think this keeps the action moving, and it keeps the commitment smaller. I'm really, really fond of the format this season. So yeah, but yeah, Swiss definitely played the role there, and it came in handy. We're rushing out some officers. I didn't know if that was with a judge, with us. Nope, with civics. Interesting, civics. Okay, we have fantastic civic income. We're making 110 civics per turn. Do we rush this out with civics too? What on earth is happening? Where are we? We have 3 scholar governors right now, which is actually kind of funny now that I think of it. We're getting about 7 or 8 science from scholar governors. So where are we? Herbalist, eloquent. Are we? We're not. We're not on a general, right? Huh. We're just nowhere. That's a little weird. I wonder what's up with that. All right, working on a road network now. Like to see that. That's going to help with the transport. That's going to help with connected status. Exploring with our boats. Finally moving up and scouting. And this is the other thing about practice, by the way, especially for competitive multiplayer. You need to be comfortable and confident that you'll be able to wage a war by turn 60. On the size of these maps, and with the players that we're dealing with, you can skirmish earlier. Some players can even end the game earlier. That's fine. But the average player, regardless of skill level, is going to be in a position where they can go to war with you and threaten you by turn 60. We're talking 4 law power spike, 7 law power spike, particular beelines like land consolidation and camels or stirrups, or all of those things can happen. The hydraulics beeline, all of these things can happen with inside of 60 turns. So we're talking onagers, siege. Now, I'm not saying all of those things together, so I'm not saying you'd have siege and stirrups or 7 laws and siege. Some players might. Some players can have both inside of 60, 70 turns. But what I'm saying is at least one of those branches in the tech tree are available within 60 turns. And since it is a head-to-head matchup, and the way we win is by getting you to surrender. All right, we're getting our stronghold upgrades now. Love to see it. 1 stronghold, 2 stronghold, 3 stronghold, 4 stronghold. All on turn 47. Free hoplites at the same time? Whoa! Timing. How perfect is that? Hoplite in 9 turns from Iron Oak, but I'm sure we'll rush it. Hoplite in 5 turns from Sparta. We may rush that, but probably don't have to. What about Highgarden? Great turning. Great turn. Council. Interesting. Okay. We're not in the business of making hoplites much further. Probably because we don't have the money to buy any more wood. But what about shopping sprees, my moose? Next turn. We don't have the orders. Okay, but shopping sprees. So that's why we're running councils. Fantastic. Fantastic. But this is exactly what I'm saying. It's turn 47. We're gearing up our unique unit timing. You know, and we could choose to go to 7. And 7 laws. What is this? What is this? Citizenship, rhetoric, sovereignty, maybe doctrine if we wanted to. We're making 60 science per turn, so this could be... This would be... I don't know, like 8? I think we could do 7 laws in about another 20-ish turns. Plus or minus, depending on how we get our science to scale, right? That seems about right from where we are now. So yeah, even that is looking at about, if we did it another 20 to 25 turns, you're looking somewhere in the turn 70s that you have a 7 law power spike. So when you start building your hoplites now, you get your 7 laws in 20 turns, then you upgrade them all to 8 strength unit, and now we're going to war with an opponent between turn 60 and 70 with 8 strength units, and this is like an average pace. Average pace, right? So that's the thing. If you're new to this, I don't want to discourage players from playing, by the way. Asteres especially, you know, this is your match, and things are not looking so hot. This is not to discourage you. This is a benchmark for practice. Like, if you want to, you know, these are things to shoot for. Pointy stick apocalypse is incoming. Yes. Yes, indeed. That's the best way to phrase it. And frankly, there's going to be nothing Greece can do about this, because, not Greece, Babylon. Once these hoplites hit here, I hate to say it, but Babylon is far enough behind in timing. Let's look at the grand total of the Babylonian army at this stage. We have already lost 2 units to a Barb camp. Yeah, we're looking at 4 military units for Babylon. If we hop over to Greece, we're looking twice as many. This is about 8 or 9 units, factoring in the champion slinger. And now we're working on our hoplites. So pretty solid timing. And I also like that we're set up well. We have stronghold, barracks. Stronghold, barracks. Stronghold, barracks. So we can add in our garrisons, which is also going to help with that order crisis. This guy can build a barracks next turn. I'll probably chop a little bit first, because we're definitely going to need more. Oh my god, yeah, don't automate scouts. What is this thing doing? Think of all the orders. That's the other thing. Think of all the orders that this is wasting. Ignoring the issue of active scouting versus inactive scouting. Just plop this guy in the woods, keep an eye on your opponent, and save yourself the orders. If this thing's draining your orders every turn, that is a huge waste of efficiency. So yeah, you shouldn't automate anything, basically. I hate to say it, but you just have to accept autonomous cities, because those events are awesome and they give you a shitload of civics. So feel free to accept an autonomous city, because those are amazing, and Zenobia is the love of my life. and she can rule my city or my empire any game she wants. All right, new hoplite, new hoplite. There we go. I suspect. So check this out. Yeah, this is great timing. 3 turns, we're going to have double hoplites from the card. We're going to have one from Sparta. And then in that same time frame, with 734 civics and 100 civics per turn, I fully expect we will probably rush the remaining hoplites at about half production. So that means in approximately 4 to 5 turns, we are going to have 2, 4, 6 hoplites arrive in the old world, ready to murder some Babylonians. And in 4 turns, we're going to have another boat. In 4 turns, we're going to have another boat. We already have this boat, so they're going to be anchored, lining up, and the Greeks are just going to vault. They're going to pole vault across the Levantine Sea, down the Bagratis River, and up into your house. Sorry, I had to say that. I don't want to sound rude, but yeah, no, that's exactly where they're going. So yeah. And really, that's going to be like a crisp 60-ish, 70-ish turn game. So, and again, I think there's lessons from the opponent. If you've rewatched this Asteres, you know, you can take lessons from the Bullmoose. And I know I've kind of been ignoring him a lot. We did not do the mining complex that I was hoping for, but that's okay. We went down here and chopped. I think that was worth it. And I know this one came up here and went for Stronghold. So this also actually demonstrates something that I think is important, is pivoting, right? I might create these 3 mines, and I might actively be thinking to myself, and then I'm going to do another 3 mines, right? But if by the time I'm ready to do that, it's Stronghold time, well then yeah, I'm going to take my worker, run up here, and upgrade the Stronghold. And if it's Hoplite time, then yeah, I'm going to take the other guy down here and start chopping woods. So try not to get too tunnel vision and think, I just need to build my mine cluster first. Even if that is a good idea, you know, whether it is or isn't, but if that's your plan, pivot. Pivot as the map situation, as your opponent, that's the other thing, as your opponent does things, pivot and adjust to what's happening. Forestry for the Babylonians at this stage. Let's look at their tech tree. How are we doing? 1, 2, 3. The Babylonians have 4 laws, but only 2 adopted. But they have 4 laws researched. They have 1 coming online next turn. They're using freedom at the moment, which actually isn't bad. Their resource economy isn't bad. They have huge stockpiles of iron and food, which I actually don't mind. I'm a fan of having big stockpiles. I love entering the mid to late game with something crazy like 6,000 food if I can, because then you never need to worry about food again. Oh no, we have a rebel in Ur. Not good. Let's look at politics. I don't think I've looked at politics in Greece in a while. Sorry, in Babylon in a while. All right, so these guys are grumpy. Why? I don't know. Just 'cause, I guess. Discontent. Not having a ruler. Angry religion. Yeah. Still working on this gap. Yeah. We need to practice clearing. We need to practice, like, opening builds, I guess. That's something that would be fun. Somebody like Klaus Koala. Alcaris would probably be another one, but we want different types of players, so I guess maybe me, but Boldus probably. It would be nice if we got like 5 different players to write a very broad strokes, like few paragraphs each for each player. You know, here's what you should think about, here's what you should do for the first 20 turns of the game. And I like the idea of having like 5 different players doing it with different play styles, but then packaging it as a single guide. So you can be like, this is what Aaron thinks about in the first 30 turns. This is what Klaus thinks about. This is what Scion thinks about. This is what Boldus thinks about. This is what Fluffy thinks about. And maybe not all of us can answer that. Maybe it just really is diverse and varied. But I feel like Klaus Koala would be like, you just build settlers constantly. Just keep doing it. Why aren't you building more settlers? He seems like he just vomits settlers onto the map until the game is over. That's an exaggeration, obviously. But, yeah, no, some players are just settlers. And it works out. Civics is often a limiting factor for the unique units, which is one of the reasons, in the case of Greece here, judges make excellent openers. Because if you really have a timing attack available to you, and I think Sage nations, Babylon is actually another nation that can do this. Who did I play again? Problem Gambler? And I made this stupid mistake. This was only like my second game against him, so I kind of was like underestimating him, I'll be totally honest. I was like, whatever, I'll just mess with him. I made this stupid mistake of rushing across the map at him with a Zealot, and it was like literally turn 28 or 32, that he had 4 laws, his unique unit bonus card, and also an additional Akkadian archer. He was Babylon. It was insane. I was like, oh, whoops, I've made a terrible mistake. So, yeah, man, you can do some crazy timing with a judge. I think he was a judge, right? And artisans. Ugh, gross. We have a tactician on the throne now. This could help. I mean, I hate to say that Greece is definitely doomed, but a tactician would, yeah, I like that, spooky. Cool. Yeah, settler makes city. City gives point. Need 41 points, makes 41 settlers. That's how you do. That's how you win. Ironically, in a game yesterday with another newer player, lack of scouting created an issue because there were only 5 cities on the map for each player. And, what was it? Yeah, he didn't scout well enough, so he ended up building a 6th settler. And then by the time the settler was done, there's no way he could have settled anything on anyway because it wasn't even on his side of the map. But the settler finished, and then, you know, he had nothing to do with it. Yes, Blunt Magic, everybody. Problem Gambler is one of the people to watch out for in this tournament for sure. I had my eyes on him in practice match. That sounds creepy. For a while, I played a few games. Dude, he's actually, I think we played 6 games against each other, 5 or 6 games against each other, and he's won 4 of them. I think I've only beaten him once or twice. So yeah, he's a very skilled player, and definitely somebody to watch in this tournament this year. And that's what I think is cool, because just like Klaus and Aaron last season, there's new players who come along into the scene and join these tournaments, and you don't know how good they're going to be. They could be very new and need a lot of help and training, or they could come in and just blow you away. So that's another thing that's exciting about multiplayer games. And then what's also fun is that everybody gets better. So take that as encouragement. Asteres, as the Babylonian player. One thing I will say, there were people who I would play last year before the tournament, last season, who I beat all the time. And then this year, practicing for this tournament pre-season, I played a couple of those same people, and they all beat me. Every single one of, like, the people who was like, oh, this is the person I beat often. They all beat me this season. So the best explanation for that is, you know, 6-8 months of playing multiplayer games, talking about the games, talking about strategies, watching videos like this, and just, you know, having a good time, enjoying the hobby. We all get better. Or I guess in my case, I get worse, but I mean, whatever. Whatever, who cares? All right, we have a boat coming down here. I think there's no reason to just already anchor. Because worst case scenario, you tempt a slinger to come poke you a little bit. You might not need the anchor, but you could. You have your 2 ships coming down from Pergamon, from Megara. And that's the other thing I like about what's happening on the Moose's neck of the woods. The timing of this is so great. Not only are his hoplites all about to come online at roughly the same time, he actually has his transport network coming on at roughly the same time, too. All of it's coming together. So that's the type of planning and strategic thinking that you need to do that works out. And what's important to think here, though, to notice here, though, is all of Bull Moose's plans. You know, I'm sure on his side, from his perspective, maybe he's made a couple of mistakes and we haven't caught them, right? But all of Moose's play here is going off without a hitch because there's nobody contesting him. You know, let's say he was facing somebody like Aaron or Problem Gambler or, you know, Boldus with his Swift Zealot or whatever. Bull Moose might be in a position where now he has to completely pivot his plans, and now his timing gets thrown off and his, you know, play style gets thrown off because he's under pressure, right? You can have the perfect, best strategy plan in the world, but if all of a sudden somebody starts pressuring you in a way that you didn't expect, well, then you have to pivot, and then that starts throwing everything off, and then maybe you don't adjust as well. So yeah. That's another thing to think about as well. As we get better at the game, we learn ways to read what our opponent may or may not be doing. And of course, sometimes you still get it wrong. You know, sometimes you make a call and you say, "Oh, I'll attack now," and it turns out that actually ends up being the bad idea that costs you the game. But as you get better and better, you learn to read the situation, adjust, or learn how to adapt and harass your opponent or pressure them in ways to help give you an edge. And that's a lot of fun. I think that's what makes the game fun, the tension between players that builds up. Let's look at how much we can rush here. This would be 330. This would be 240, so that's about 570. And this would be 260, so that's about 9 something. Yeah, I think we have enough civics to rush all of the remaining hoplites. I think it would be fun to do it right now. It's not really necessary, but for the memes, it would be really fun to do it right now because the next turn, you would have 6 hoplites coming out at the exact same time. And yes, I agree, Blunt Magic, having everything come together where you have your logistics all lined up in time for an attack at the same time. Like, you can hit 7 laws and get your 8 strength unit, and all of a sudden you realize you don't have a road network anywhere, or you can't even cross the ocean. So there's lots and lots and lots of moving parts, which I think is fantastic. That's honestly what makes this game for me. Because going back to the ranged unit thing I was joking about, you know, you can, same thing. You can hit your 7 laws, you can have 8 strength units, you can have all your Roman legionaries, you can go to battle, and you can realize, oh shit, I'm going to lose because I can't last hit anything. I don't have any ranged units. So there's so many different systems that complement each other and bounce off of each other. Speaking of which, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I swear to God, don't get me wrong, Moose actually doesn't need to build any more units, but if he actually does end this game with 6 slingers, I gotta think that's really funny, because it will really have meant that he spent the first, you know, third of the game building nothing but slingers, just so he wouldn't have to worry about ranged units in the back half of the game, and I think that's awesome. And yeah, 7 laws is tricky. There's always a missing piece of the puzzle. You have to get your training production. You can hit your 7 laws and you can get your 8 strength unit, but it's going to take you 1,000,000 turns to build them. But also you need to make sure you have enough civics to get all of the laws. You need the science to make sure you get to the technologies in time. And then you need the culture. Because if you don't have any strong cities, you can't build any 8 strength units. So that's one nice thing that's about Greece. We have 2 strong cities already. A 3rd quickly on the way, 9 turns. A 4th, not too far behind, with 33. That's very easy to bump up with an Odeon or a Temple. Not Temple. An Odeon or, what is it? A Theater here, which would be pretty easy builds. That could get cut down to 12 or 15 pretty easily. And then in that time frame, theoretically, we would have 7 laws and would be doing the same thing that we're doing with hoplites, but with the even more brutal phalangites. Phalangites fall off incredibly hard in the late game. Swordsmen destroy them. Crossbows aren't ideal. Siege obviously always mess them because siege mess everything up a little bit. However, if you get them early, man, they are one of the hardest hardest units, in my opinion, to deal with, because they're just impossible to kill. They're so hard to kill. Moose is skipping border boost. Order boost. Ooh. Looks like it. Actually, that would be handy here. That's also very well timed. I call out their snap from chat because, yeah, I think in this hand I would actually grab order boost since I'm gearing up for an advance. Or what we could see him pivot. He could go to Polis to just buy an extra turn. I didn't catch how quickly he could get order boost. So he could end up cycling technologies. That's always a neat trick to do. Building more roads, getting our road network online, just in time for our hoplites. 3 on the board. Another 3 coming along the way. Another one. Also, this will be number 7. Yeah, this is for on the Moose side of things. He's talked about this strategy before. So you guys can consider this like one of those boldest videos of like, hey, here's a strategy. Greek, judge opener, 4 or 7 law timing attack, go beat somebody up. Just number 1 highlight, and Bullmoose did a great job here of dealing with it. But number 1 thing not to mess up about that strategy is don't forget ranged units. Because hoplites by themselves are going to have a tough time. But yeah. Tossing, trapping, get yourself a handful of slingers, and then, yep, judge, ruler, 4 to 7 laws, timing attack with hoplites. Pretty straightforward. Classic strategy, love to see it, and Moose is pretty much, he's handling it pretty well. His economy is bare bones. What is that noise? Alright, anyway, sorry. His economy is bare bones, but again, his opponent is much weaker, much primitive. Primitive. Moose is a skilled player, so I think he can read the room. I think he, and again, this is one of the things that can get experienced players sometimes, ironically enough, is that you can think that you're in a great spot, and that, oh, it's fine, I got this. And then accidentally you end up messing up. But in this particular situation, I think the writing on the wall for Moose is clear. So I think he can kind of all in his economy on the strategy here. I'm sure maybe if he was facing a similar and competent opponent, he would be playing a little bit more endgame oriented and thinking, okay, I need to not let my food tank. I need to keep my economy in check and things like that. But I think in this particular case, he's just going straight for the kill, which 100% makes sense. Ooh, we have a Wonder in Babylon. Hitting the wrong key. What did we get? Oh, the Hanging Gardens. Great. Very thematic. Love to see it. And the Tactician should be able to clear this camp with our friend. Oh god, and we have a raid in the north. Unfortunately, the Numidians might kill Babylon before Moose does. The Rebel as well. That's another tricky thing for newcomers into multiplayer, are our modest setting. Some new players might not be used to that. So that's another thing that's worth practicing on your own at some point. Getting used to the feel of modest. Yeah, so we'll see who can get to Babylon first, the Numidians or the Greeks. Really, really great ocean network for the Greeks, by the way, even outside of their boats. Look at this beautiful. This is all colony buying. Did we swap to serfdom? Yep, we swapped to serfdom already. If we swap to vassalage at this point, this would actually solve all of our economic issues for the most part. So that's always an option. Do not forget about vassalage come the mid to late game. You might really not need that science anymore. 7.3 science is actually a lot, but once you have something like 100 or 120 science, it's not as much. So you can just very comfortably jump over to vassalage, and this is actually the better law in the mid to 8 game most of the time. Important not to forget about that law for many people. Very common to start with centralization and then pivot to My brain froze. Vassalage. Later on. Nice, a slinger coming from the capital. Let's take a look at this capital. Yeah, 5.4 science. Not ideal. What do we have any... Do we get any... So here's another tip for early game. These are your science technologies. Aristocracy, yes. Divination, yes. But also military drill. Also, although it can be risky in multiplayer, but nonetheless, drama. Why are these two science technologies? Because they give you urban science, 2 science for specialists, and they give you utility. Drama is really great for getting culture levels. Also, the tech itself gets you the extra free settler, so it's kind of good for expansion. And of course, military drill is super crucial in duels. It gets you training. It gets you orders. It gets you science. So really, military drill is a core economic technology. It's very easy to overlook that because clearly it's a military technology, right? It's right in the name, and also just, it's the barracks. But when you factor in the officers and factor in combining the orders with your garrisons and such, it's overall one of the best early economic techs in the game. Genuinely, I think. But it's easy not to conceptualize this as a core economic technology. And it's also right after trapping, which can get you more orders and growth and things like that. And of course, the very valuable ranged unit. So trapping into military drill, very, very important early grab. You don't want to delay this too much. You don't need to go straight for it, but you don't want to end up on turn 50 without military drill. Sometimes you can get away with it, I guess. But that's all like a skill thing, too. Blunt magic practices on strong tribes like a champ. Cool. I like that. I have a feeling my tempo's all off now. Because I used to primarily play on the Great. And I used to primarily play single player. But now, in the last few months, I almost exclusively play multiplayer, which is a drastic shift for me now. Last season, every other game, I constantly be like, oh, I don't really play multiplayer games. I don't really play multiplayer games. Now I can't stop. I've been fully converted. So, I feel like my tempo... Yes, we have Hanging Gardens. I feel like my tempo in single player is probably all messed up. Are we still going to lose a military unit up here? When does this attack? Does this attack on our turn or Moose's turn? I think we have one more turn. That's wild, man. Shrine of Poseidon. Let's go, Moose. Are you going to wait for 7? Is he going to wait for 7? First of all, is he holding court still? Yeah, hold it. Yeah, that's the other little trick. For the most part, this isn't universally true, but it's basically the bread and butter of this archetype. If you ever play a judge, just spam hold court constantly, nonstop, forever. You just keep playing it because you just get a massive amount of civics. Me too. And Asteres in the chat, we have Alcaris, who's the main tournament organizer, saying, I hope you come away with it with a good attitude. And I do as well. Because I feel like, especially if you rewatch this, it's going to feel like a rough game. Maybe you'll feel like you're on your league. But hopefully this will get you on the Discord and playing a couple practice games, asking questions, feeling the desire to learn some strategies or whatever. And then you can come back swinging in round 2. Round 2 is going to be a couple weeks anyway. So it's not like we're all going to be jumping into round 2 next weekend. So it's plenty of time to practice this summer before the next rounds come up. Plenty of time to practice. That's what I think it makes it fun to do these as like a season, right? It's not just we all come together on the weekend. Because theoretically, with how much activity we had this weekend, I think it's actually possible that we could figure out a way to do a tournament structure that literally is just a weekend thing at this point, with the amount of activity we had in this weekend. But that's not how we did this tournament. It's more of like a season. This tournament's going to take a couple months, at least. Yeah, so 3 turns on citizenship. That gives us... What am I looking at? We're at 4 laws. That'll be 5th law. Yeah, so I don't think he's going to wait till 7. You really, your opponent has been much weaker almost all game, and they're primitive. Feel free to get a little cocky, Bullmoose. Show us how it's done. Did you ever catch this? I don't know when you joined El Cristo. We have an automated worker. But really, though, genuinely, kudos to Moose for just letting it do its thing. I think, like, ThePurpleBullmoose is scoring massive, like, people points with me for just being like, all right, well, this guy's automating a worker, so I'm not just going to kill it. I'll just let it do whatever it's doing. It's round 1. Have a little bit of fun. We can all afford a loss. But yeah, man, that's crazy. We really need to do one of those 10 things not to do in a multiplayer game videos. Yeah, they're having a chat. Look at that. So, Babylon, huh? What's it like down there? I don't know. Lots of Numidians. They don't seem very friendly. What about you guys? Oh, Numidians? We have a bunch of pointy sticks for those guys. In fact, they don't even exist anymore. I thought we killed them all. No. They're the bunch, over here. In fact, I used to live in Dilbat, but, I had to get away. Damn. Not a good spot to be in. Not a good spot to be in. But I mean, again, the one thing I have to give this guy credit for, his timing is off. But Asteres, if you did one thing decent in this game, and I think you did a couple of things. I've talked about how like you built your garrison early. Really feel bad about the road thing. But yeah, you have more than one garrison, more than one city, so that's nice. That was priority on that was great, and your economy is pretty solid. So expansion rate, clear rate, those are the big core issues to work on. More than anything, just kind of getting yourself out there, getting yourself better established. Because even building military units early, to a degree, wasn't that bad. Because, you want to be able to defend yourself come the mid-game. Or, defend yourself from an early attack. So all of that stuff was okay. It was basically the order with which you did it in. That was the issue. Because now you have a decent economy. What's your science? 33? Yeah, we could pick that up. But you definitely have a decent economic game, but I think it's a timing thing, a prioritization thing that could get practice. Forestry has come online for the Babylonians, and we are building lumber mills and such, so that's always good, right along the rivers. But yeah, this is an issue. Did we lose another unit? Good God. What are we at now? Oh, man. Yeah. Hop on Discord. Watch this video. Keep your chin up. Hop on Discord. And ask a couple of people for practice matches. And I know you'll get a couple of people who will probably help you out. I mean, I'll help you out. I'll play a game with you. But yeah, losing 7 units to tribes in a multiplayer match is not ideal. Yeah, they are. Also, we have the new Unity build, which actually I think makes the game look better. For a while there were a couple of graphical bugs that were annoying, but Mohawk got everything under control, and yeah, I think the game looks better now. I actually think the Unity upgrade looks really good. Come on, Moose. What are we waiting for? Building an inquiry. If you go to 7 laws, I'm going to slap you upside the head. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 hoplites in the field. Whoa, all right, hold on. What's our orders? 26 orders. Go kill something. Although I guess, hold on. Citizenship, okay. You're going to get Divine Rule for another 7 orders. All right, I dig it. We had Polytheism. My bad, I missed that. We're going to get Divine Rule. Okay, kudos, Moose, I get it. This is the order situation. So get early mana Polytheism. Oh, and who called out the spear saying, oh, we're not thinking about the unique unit? This is what he was doing. He was beelining to Divine Rule. Not beelining, but he was going to Divine Rule with Polytheism. He has a shrine in every city. And then what he's going to do is he's going to get Divine Rule for 7 orders. What is he at? 7 cities? Yep, he has exactly 7 cities. So Divine Rule for 7 orders. Then he's going to adopt Monotheism with his plenty of civics that he has for another 7 orders. And he's going to go from 26 orders per turn to 40 orders per turn. So, I mean, this is great. And this is important because I forget who it was. But somebody with Greece was like, oh, the fact that he's Decaphalanx means he's not thinking unique units. No, he actually has a long-term plan. He's thinking orders. Orders, orders, orders. And he's executing that perfectly, too. So, take note. Poly-Divine Rule here helps a lot with orders. And he is going to cap it off with Monotheism, 100%. I really find it fascinating that he's also building all of these Olympiads, too. Really neat to see there. I'd like to ask him about that specifically, but I'm thinking in terms of training, upgrading himself, and also, he's not under a lot of pressure. So a couple, like he's done, oh, that's champions. Whoops. He's done 1 Olympiad. So all it takes is 2 Olympiads, right, early on. And that gives you the base training output of the average military city. So suddenly, you're Greece, but now you're kind of pretending that you're Rome. But yeah, he's going to, in 1 turn, he's going to get a 14 order per turn boost. And then I imagine he's going to go kill somebody. And also the other thing about maxing out all this training, too, is going to have his overflow create orders. Also gives them more promotions if he wants. Gives them the capability of force marching more. Gives them the ability to add more generals. So yeah, Olympiads are niche, but I actually like them. I think they get a little bit of a bad rep. But they're one of those things that are super situational, right? All the super situational things in this game seem bad 80% of the time. And that's what's funny about them, because they're bad. They are. They're bad 80% of the time. But then there's that 20% of the time where you suddenly go, oh, actually, hey, this is pretty useful. And that's what I think tons of mechanics are like in this game, where it's like they seem like you don't need them, but then when you do, or you want to use them, they're actually great. Chat would love some action, but ThePurpleBullmoose may just want to consolidate his advantage. I really think we're going to get it, because I was wondering what he was waiting for, but now that I didn't pick up on the poly... We just saw the swap right here. Literally, he just got Divine Rule, Monotheism, and all he needs, he's got a hold court in the tank. He's just going to adopt Paganism. That's his 7 laws. So in 2 more turns, he's going to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing him migrate. I suppose he should have been migrating this whole time. And if he doesn't, well then yeah, I'll be grumpy. Because yeah, these boats should get into position. But yeah, he was definitely waiting for the orders to be online. Meanwhile, the harrowing tale of the Babylonian brigade against the relentless crab barbarians. The barbarians of the Crab Coast. The campaign may just yet finally be coming to a close. Did we lose our ruler? I think it. The Crab Coast littered with bodies. Can we do it? Can we succeed? Honestly, I think we should have a tournament rule. If this player manages to clear this camp before Bullmoose takes this city, I think we should give Asteres the win. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Well. Anyway. Crab people. Crab people. Yep. Okay, we have anchors. Missing this one. Probably ran out of orders. That's okay. At least the scout isn't moving anymore. And we have the worker going on chopping sprees, so don't forget about that. And what I call a chopping spree, for those who do not know, and those who watching this as a learning exercise, is when you take a worker out into the wilderness and just burn all of its orders, all of its fatigue, clear chopping woods. It's really, really nice. We have, look at this, we've been generating negative wood almost all game as the Greeks, but we actually have a stockpile of 745 wood because we've been chopping everything. And I think when you have an advantage like this and you're going to go in for the kill, it's actually better to just chop everything down. The crabs have been eating well on Babylonian meat, indeed. Look, by the way, I don't know if anyone's ever actually stared at these things. These things just dance the entire time. You're just having a party. It's fun. Crab party in Babylon, off the Babylonian coast. Why do I keep saying that funny? Oh, upgraded to a militia. Alright, well, I hope those who are with us live, there's 15 people in chat, I hope there's been some fun. I hope we've been having fun. I hope we've been entertained. This, I believe, is one of the final games of a long 9-game day of Old World streaming and casting. Which to me is just amazing. So I appreciate you all being here live. If you checked out this game after the fact, maybe I'll post at some point that this would be a good learning game, because I think, you know, for newer players, we're learning some really good, solid play here from Moose, and hopefully I've offered at least a little bit of advice for an up-and-coming player on the Babylonian side about kind of, hey, you know, things to look out for. And because, again, coming back to this, press B. This is still not connected. So again, hopefully my tone has been good. I haven't seemed too critical or too much of a wise ass. You know, I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm making fun of you or anything like that. Just things that have been noticed. I'm trying to make light of the situation and add a little levity to it all. Yeah, I hope everybody's been having fun, and I definitely appreciate anyone who's tuned in. And I think Moose, because that's the other thing, though. I know we want action, but it's entirely possible Moose is going to land 6 or 7 hoplites along the Bagradis River, and we will instantly see a surrender. Like, I highly suspect Moose is not going to actually get to this city and take this city, because once 6 or 7 hoplites land on this shore, you're going to have a Babylonian player with this vision. He can see the ship. He lost it. He gave another corpse to the Crab Lord, and he will clear the city, though. That's the timer. I'm going to declare Asteres the winner if Moose can't take this city before Asteres clears this camp. Yeah, and then there's Dilbat, just doing Dilbat things. But yeah, so I have to imagine once 6 or 7 hoplites land on these shores, Asteres is just going to instantly surrender, right? Like, it wouldn't... Right? I mean, you can play as long as your morale holds. But that's pretty much GG once that happens. Like, I'd certainly... We can see some stuff. We can see some build-up. And I think it's nice to kind of keep getting practice in. But surely... I think these pointy sticks might not have the opportunity to stab anything. Unfortunately. But hey, how long have you been streaming? 2.5 hours, that's not too bad. That's a nice quick game. The one thing that I think has been great is that a lot of these round one games have actually been relatively quick. Even the ones that went into multiple sessions were still only about 3 or 4 hours. So yeah, the Doom is coming on the tides here. The Levantin Sea has anchors. We have 2 different forces that can move. And look, these spears, these slingers, they can get all into these woods. We've staged. Oh, and in classic fashion, one of the things that I love about calamities in this game is one always seems to show up right just before, during, or after a really big assault. So really leans into that kind of ancient historical theme sense that calamities were portents of doom. Or omens of war and things like that, because it seems to be the case in these competitive tournaments. And again, I personally love this, is just before someone's about to make some move or, lose a city or whatever, like when something major is about to happen, for good or for worse, advantaging the attacker or the defender, it doesn't matter, but we get a calamity at some point. And in this case, it doesn't really do anything, but I just think it always seems to be timed around one big movement, and for me, that is just a big omen of doom that adds so much flavor to these games and the narrative feel of it, that honestly, if it were even in a competitive match, I wouldn't even mind if we played with normal calamities. Currently, the competitive setting has them set to, or the tournament rules, we have them set to very rare. I like playing with regular calamities. I love seeing them show up. I think they're so entertaining, even when they mess with me and I want to throw my monitor out the window because of it. Because, it's fun. It's fun to have fun. Oh, no! Oh, the crabs! We have defeated the Crab Lords. The kingdom of Babylon has secured the coast from the vicious Crab Lords of the Mediterranean Sea. We shall claim these lands. Maybe. Imagine if a bunch of hoplites showed up and just killed the settler. Can they reach? No. Oh, first of all, they can't even see. But could they reach? Almost. That would be so amazing if Moose was just like, bloop. But we're making landfall. Hoplites landing in the woods. I want to watch this from the Babylonian perspective. Here we go. This is what we're seeing as the Babylonian player, pants down. We dine on crab meat tonight, lads, indeed. And this is what makes it bittersweet. Finally, we have won our war against the vicious crab lords, just in time for the Greeks of the distant lands of the Levantine Sea, the Levantine Greeks, to make landfall, while the vicious Numidians from the Indian Ocean have come down and secured Dilbat. So we have no time to revel in victory and glory over our amazing, epic 20-year war against the Crab Lords. Unfortunately, doom is at hand. The death of the Crab Lords has signaled the end of days for Babylon. Oh, and also we're even having a political crisis. We have -3. What is happening with the champions people? Not the champions, the Kassites here. Why is someone disappointed? Oh, tactician versus commander plus disappointed, so that -100. We have -300. Let's take a pause here and look at politics in Greece. Of course, politics in Greece is fine. Honestly, it's pretty mediocre. Like we have the artisans pleased or friendly, which is fantastic. But the champs and the sages are cautious, which is totally fine. You can wage war on this, but it's not amazing. But oh yes, good call out, Alcaris. We have. Look at this. Where is it? Another -60 for these 3 hostile units in your territory. And meanwhile, this worker is just attempting to build a lumber mill. I wonder. I wouldn't put it past. All right, we're coming to the defense with our warrior, our stalwart warrior, the victor, the Lord of the Crabs. We need to rename this. I wish I could rename this thing. Crab King. Imagine if I could do that. I can't do that. No, it doesn't hold. That would be amazing if I could rename these things. Yeah, imagine that. Moose just waits there like, Hanging Gardens? That sounds like a neat idea. What a look. That's a fascinating wonder that you have there, Babylon. Would be a shame if somebody took it. Fun. Again, Asteres, if you come back and watch this match, I hope you watch it in good humor and good fun. I hope you enjoyed your first multiplayer match. I hope you don't take the loss too hard. And, of course, just bear with me because it's been a long day of casting, commenting, and troubleshooting. So I'm also just trying to keep this inevitable victory a little light for everybody in terms of the commentary. So I appreciate you very much for putting yourself out there, joining this game, and I'll say this to you in post-game chat as well, if you choose to hop on. But in the event that you don't, we definitely all appreciate you, putting yourself out there, putting yourself up on stream, and having your very, very first multiplayer experience against a pretty challenging opponent. Bullmoose is experienced. Up live on stream in round 1 of this tournament season. So kudos to you, sir. And let's see if Moose can pop this city in one go. He actually doesn't know that the Hanging Gardens is here, I don't think. So imagine if he just walks up and hits the city and was like, oh, wait, no, hold on. I think I'll wait one more turn. That'd be funny. All right, here's it coming. The Greeks. We don't need any of this information anymore. Let's make this cinematic. I wish you could shut off tooltips. Like, I don't want this tooltip here either. There we go. Let's just keep it cinematic. Beautiful. Beautiful hoplite army. Actually has some slingers with him. And let's do another slinger count towards the end game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is he building any others right now? No, no, he isn't. ThePurpleBullmoose with the 6 slingers is all I need. Hoplite, Greek, Judge, 4-law rush. Doesn't see the warrior either. That's going to be an issue. Sorry, I'm just being a little sarcastic there. Okay, yeah, no, all right. Good job, ThePurpleBullmoose. 6 slingers is all I need. That's his new tag name. That's great. But no, really, honestly, seriously, very well executed on the part of Bullmoose. And look at what we talked about in terms of timing earlier. Turn 60, and here we are. Very nice, comfortable timing attack. And yes, some people can do larger amounts of science. Some people can do 7 laws. So I'm not saying that it's not about whether this is peak performance. It's that this is a viable strategy that can work, that you can leverage against an opponent, and you can use to take somebody out. Even if it's not their first multiplayer match, this can be a tricky thing to deal with if you're not prepared, or depending on what your opponent did, tech-wise, right? Yeah, right on turn 60, here we are, ready to seal the deal. Now, one thing I would be curious about, does our new player here think that he has to let Bullmoose completely conquer him? Because he can surrender. We have Dilbat. Why do I feel... This is the second or third match I've actually seen in round 1 where tribal units have actually captured a city from somebody, by the way. Lots of interesting variety of things going on. All right, warriors at the ready. Can Moose still not see the... Moose literally... I don't think he knows the gardens is here. Have he explored this? No. This is the sum total The extent of Moose's vision, he doesn't even know that the gardens is right here. He might have a wait moment. Like everyone's charging to take the city, and then the commander goes, wait! Hold on. That thing's pretty. We could use that. Oh, here we go. Oh, no! Are you not even revealing? There it is! Wait! Does he care? He doesn't care. That's funny, though. Oh, no. He's taking out some units. Alright, he won't take it this turn. So, alright. Attaboy, Moose. He's going to get a shiny Hanging Gardens just in time. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. And I also don't... Another reason why I don't mind streaming things like this is because I like making trailers. So even something like this, I don't need... It doesn't matter if this was an even match or not. This would make a fantastic shot for a trailer. Yeah. That's funny. That's really funny. Thanks for being on this journey with me, guys. I love that we're all having fun, because that's what this is all about. And again, Asteres, that's what it's all about. So I hope you enjoyed your first game. I hope you watched this cast. Stick with it. And best of luck in round 2, man. Or, you know, if you have a nuclear bomb hidden somewhere, now's the time to drop it. Wild. Wild. Okay. Yeah, I should have been more cinematographic. I should have been more cinematic with it. Like, come up here and just... Bum, 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 bum. Probably don't make noise. I don't need to make noise. I can add that in later. Also, wouldn't that be funny, making a trailer where you just make the soundtrack yourself, like, bum, 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 this season? Yeah, I assume we'll see. Unless the opponent doesn't know how to surrender. Should I say something? Because that I saw a game like this the other day. Oh, good game. Oh, hey, there it is. Great. Great. Awesome. That's GG. So there you have it, folks. Bread and butter, classic, simple strategy, judge, grease, 4-law timing, Phalanx, also can't leave out, adding in, nope, wrong character, the monasticism, turn 47, citizenship, turn 57, polytheism into monasticism, divine rule, law bump. Did we actually end up getting... Greek, yep, we got Greek paganism. Yeah, so, yeah, great job on Moose. Very straightforward, very good execution. Of course, yes, we do need to keep in mind the opponent. Moose had very little stress in this match. He was able to sit back, have a strategy in mind. He actually still has his judge on the throne, by the way. All right, our friend left. I'll ask for a post-game chat and see how we're doing. Let me ask a question. Let me ask in chat. Where are we? Why can't I find this? The Purple Bull. Alright, let me hop in the Hanging Gardens channel of Discord and see how we're doing. But yeah, very good execution. And of course, we do know that Moose didn't really have much pressure from his opponent. So, you know, with some pressure, maybe that could have been a different game. But still, viable strategy overall, even if you do have an opponent who's, on their toes and having a better game. Because the hoplites, a lot of hoplites inside of 60 turns, it can be really hard to deal with unless you just have a straight siege comp, like a bunch of ballistas or a bunch of onagers. Because otherwise, they'll mess pretty much everything up all by themselves.
Hello, hello, Sion.
Hello, Bull Moose. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you, thank you. It was definitely was a fun game, but it was mostly a little bit of a Sim City. I apologize. Is the pronunciation Asteres?
I don't know. They're not in the chat with us, so I'm not sure.
Okay, well, fair game. I mean, they definitely seem like they got a pretty rough hand dealt to them with the bar braids coming from the north.
Yeah, and certainly there was a skill gap issue. They did mention more than once that it's their very first multiplayer game, so I don't believe they got practice. So I kind of tried to do my best with this cast to kind of turn it into a teaching game. Hopefully they'll check it out, or if anyone else comes along to check it out, I tried to do my best to be like, oh, here are some ideas, here are things you're missing. And then also on your end with watching you, I mean, I think obviously you weren't pressured too much, on the opponent side of things, but I think you got an opportunity to kind of show off this bread and butter strategy thing of like the judge, grease, 4 and or closer to 7 law timing. You hit the 4 law timing, but I think you could have gotten 7 laws in like another 10 or 15 turns or so. And basically show off what grease can do.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun to show off. Well, granted, I saw that I was still much stronger and primitive at this point in the game, and I figured, I probably had enough critical mass just to go in for the push.
Sure.
But without that, yeah, no, I got some weird rolls on the techs. Typically would have liked to have my 7 laws up and ready by now.
Yeah.
And, I just not getting administration or getting offered administration when other very valuable things like mill drill or free hoplites were available. So definitely slowed me getting to sovereignty. Typically, I'm a constitution first kind of guy. So
interesting.
not having that extra 7 science for 25 plus turns definitely slows you down.
Yeah, that's a good point because you're getting 7 science from centralization too. So if you actually did get constitution relatively early, you'd have double your science rate from the laws anyway. And yeah, it certainly is possible to get 7 laws on Greece inside of 60 turns. Yeah, and in fact, we played a game where you've done that to me. So, but yeah, no, it was cool to see the judge opener, and I think you did a good job expanding and your economy. The one thing I actually like with that, I feel like once you got the vibe that your opponent was much weaker for a long time, so they must have been struggling. I feel like you didn't really care too much about the eco game that much, up to just being able to supply yourself with getting hoplites out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when it gets to a certain point, if you're going to go for this kind of punch strategy, you kind of just want to make sure that you're able to turn on the gas and keep it full pedal to the metal all the way through.
Yeah.
As opposed to, even thinking about like a 100 turn game, because, if the all-in strategy doesn't work, it can leave you a little open. But it's definitely still very fun.
Yes, and I think the better one gets at reading the game state and the situation and what your opponent may or may not be able to do, the more viable it becomes to be like, oh no, it's time to press on the gas. And that's one of the hardest things to learn in the game is like, when do I attack? When do I not attack? How do I juggle, balancing the long term versus the short term? But I mean, yeah, it was really nice to see a bunch of hoplites get conjured, and I'm glad that you got the opportunity to actually poke something to, because to be honest, I thought the surrender was going to come as soon as you landed on his side of the map near the Bagradis River. Because at that point he had the Numidians already about to take Dilbat, and he also was struggling by the crab camp up in Nippur, trying to clear a camp.
Yeah.
And he had some tribal issues, and but hey, good game, and you're going to go on to round 2.
Woo! I mean, you'd be pretty hard pressed to get rid of me at this point, Scion. Very happy, very much enjoying the games. Honestly, I feel like my wife is sick of me flipping back and forth to all the various screen names. She goes, "Who are all these people that you keep talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, just my closest friends online. No big deal." But But no, it's very nice, and of course, shout out to you and all the hard work that everybody on the crew is putting into the back end of this third iteration of the tournament.
Yeah.
It truly does blow me away exactly how much of a facelift the tournament's gotten year over year.
I know, and it's awesome, and we have 60 people, and so I'm hoping Asteres takes the loss. I hope he had some good time. I hope he's interested in playing another match, and maybe playing some practice matches and learning a little bit more about the game. And I think as far as opponents go, you're a pretty tough hand to be dealt for someone's very first multiplayer match. I have to say, you saw the automated scout, right?
Yeah.
and you just chose not to kill it.
I figured if it's not keeping an eye on anything important, then it's better for them to think and have that sense of security.
Great, and I loved it. I clocked that pretty early on when it did the loop around your empire. Then I was like, that's it. What a guy! What a guy! It's just like you can see the automated thing. It's like that's not really the best thing to be doing, but you know what? I'll just let wander around. So kudos to you for that. I got a really big kick out of that.
I was thinking about it when it was dead center in between my three major cities. I'm like, I could collapse on it right now, but econ.
But also, you know what? It saved you the orders.
It did, and there are few and far between on Greece. Again, the tech hands that were given to me were very much out of order. I like to try to get sovereignty into citizenship typically first, but those were like the last two and never even got to sovereignty. But no, all in all, still very fun game.
Cool. Glad you had fun, and looking forward to seeing more from you in the tournament. And I guess we'll close out the stream now. Thanks for chatting for a little bit.
Of course, happy to do it. Thanks everybody for watching.
All right, take care.
Take care.
All right, everybody, that is the stream. 10 people in chat. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all keeping me company. Thanks for all the fun times. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And once more, we didn't hear anything from Asteres in post-game chat. I don't think I'm seeing anything from him. Yeah. So if you happen to be watching this game and you've made it this far, I hope you enjoyed your first multiplayer match. I hope you are interested in trying out more multiplayer. So again, please hang out on the Discord and ask for some practice games. And if you have been watching after the fact on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe. This is one of many games in this season. In this season's tournament season, we have over 150 games to be played, and we're only on like game number 16 or 18 at this point. So stick around for more action, and as the tournament heats up. This is Scientific. It's been the Old World Community Tournament, and take care.